Good evening, everyone. This is Josh here at Horror Hangouts. We have another fun episode tonight. And first, let me go ahead and introduce our panel for tonight. Uh, First, we welcome back Yanni. How are you doing tonight, Yanni?
Oh, we're good. Finally, a night away from work.
Yes, I hear that. And coming back is Kyle. How are we doing tonight, Kyle?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Josh.
Excellent as always. Also making her return, we have Skyla. How's it going tonight, Skyla?
I'm doing great.
Good. And also, of course, Skyla lives in the sunny state of Florida, and also from Florida we have Kimberly. How's it going, Kimberly?
Good. Nice to see you guys again. Thanks for having me back, Josh.
Pleasure as always. But anyhow, our main topic tonight is going to be sci-fi horror, and science fiction and horror kind of go together about as well as any two genres can. A lot of that, you look into any science fiction movie or sci-fi fantasy movie, there's always some elements to horror in them. Even in mainstream ones like Star Wars or Star Trek will often sometimes have some horrific imagery in those movies. Like I always think back to the first original Star Wars where Luke Skywalker finds his aunt and uncle all burned up skeletons. I'm like, wow, for a PG movie, that was kind of graphic there. And of course, horror always sometimes leans into the fantasy aspect. It's kind of a natural progression. But one thing, too, both those genres do really well, and they really do them really well when they're blended together, is oftentimes you will see a lot of commentary. They will use these, I guess you say, these extraordinary occurrences or themes as a way of holding the mirror back to society a little bit, and both do that extremely well. And so when you get that, when you merge the two together, you come up with something pretty special oftentimes, and I always equate horror fans and sci-fi fans as being those two groups of people that are sitting in their own little tables off to the end of the cafeteria while the cool kids are up in the main table, and every once in a while we get invited to the cool table, but so we're kind of like cousins in a way. So tonight we're going to talk about our favorite sci-fi horror films. So I'll get this started here. Going to start with you, Kimberly. What's a movie you'd like to discuss tonight?
Well, Kyle took, of course, my top favorite ones.
You take take those. I was just
No. It actually made me go through the corners of my memory to find other ones that I've seen a long time ago. But I forgot all about Event Horizon, which I saw like thousands of years ago. That I rewatched it because I was going to go with the ones that you said, and I'm like, no, let me try to figure out ones I haven't seen in a long time. So Event Horizon, and then also Life Force are my top two. Yeah, that are not the ones that you're going to say. So yeah.
So you guys see, I have some pick, but I'm going to kind of wait and see what everyone else says. So what's your thoughts? Let's go to Event Horizon, starting with that one. What's your thoughts on that movie? Of course, that came out in 95, 96, I think, with Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill.
Yep, love them too as actors. And I guess you will probably address it at some point today. Like, is it like a blanket assumption to say that if it's space or aliens, it's always going to be considered classified sci-fi horror? So I don't know if that's
that's a good question. We need to look up what the official definition. To me, science fiction is anything. I would describe it as any type of story that focuses on something. Well, it can be anything having to do with science itself. Like I could consider Frankenstein perhaps a sci-fi horror movie because of these crazy experiments going on. But
I'm sorry, Jeff.
But also anything outside this world or something from outside this world coming to our world, I guess, or it's kind of it is kind of an interesting thought how we actually is it because it's obviously just more than spaceships and being out in space. There's other things that go along with it. What were you going to say, Kyle?
Oh, I was gonna say, well, I think of it like three. There's three core ones. Not that there's not exceptions to it, but you named two, right? So there's, and Kimberly named two, or named it as well. So it's like outer space, the alien, some type of cosmic core, something like Event Horizon, where something is trying. It's like a siege narrative where something is in the ship or trying to get in the ship to kill the passengers. Then there's like the invasion narrative where they're invading Earth, us, that type of thing. I'm sure we'll cover that ultimate movie for that. And then anything Mad Scientist.
Yes.
So that I'm sure we'll cover as well. And you mentioned that with Frankenstein. That's perfect. Probably the ultimate Mad Scientist story that would come to mind. But yeah, I mean, I think not that there's not other offshoots of that, but for sure I think those three. If you have those three can ultimately just be science fiction, but if you add like the horror element to that, I think that's the main plot narratives you're going to get. Premises.
But you can almost get away with just about anything in body horror, really, being
Very
science fictiony.
Yeah,
well,
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Very
that
true.
often blends into it too. Skyla, what your thoughts as far as defining what sci-fi horror could be?
I kind of am agreeance with you where it's like anything that's necessarily with like science but blends horror with it, I feel like fits that umbrella. So I don't know. That's all I have for that.
Do we consider a movie like Reanimator then sci-fi horror?
To me, that's mad.
I
That's
would
mad
I
science.
was,
that,
I was actually going to bring that one up.
Oh, cool.
That is the most awesome movies of all time.
Yeah.
I saw one on a list. I think the site was Collider when I was trying to get ideas, and it had Dead Alive listed. And I wouldn't have thought of that as sci-fi. It's viral, so I guess that makes sense. But I wouldn't naturally lump that into science fiction. I mean, even if it technically is, that feels more just like But I mean, zombie. I guess the zombie narrative, if it's viral, if it's science based, like 28 Days Later, is that sci-fi horror?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
It doesn't feel like it to me personally.
Yeah.
I guess another thing too, if it's something that's set in the future, it oftentimes will automatically, like if something's set in 2075 or something, people are always going to say, well, it's something in the future, so that's automatically going to make it science fiction.
True. That's a good point too.
But I think that kind of sums everything. So, like horror does have a very broad definition as to what it can be and can encompass. But Event Horizon does that very well. It's been a few years since I've seen that one, but it's certainly one I like to get back to every once in a while.
It's really good. It still holds up. And Life Force is amazing. And I've never heard of Life Force. I just recently saw it.
Oh, really?
It's so good. So good.
Yeah. Have you? So you had never seen Life Force?
No, I saw it recently, like within the last maybe like couple of months.
Okay.
And it's just like it has zombies, it has aliens,
Space vampires.
space vampire. I mean, it's just so much in one movie that's so good. So.
Did you know that the lady was pretty much naked for the 80% of the movie? I think.
Yeah, and I love how they showed her whole entire naked body, but the two male aliens they never did.
No. Yeah.
I always thought
Toby Hooper wasn't down for that, I guess. So.
Well, I'm all for equality on various different levels, but I always thought they underutilized them. It's like, why even have them if you're just going to kill them off in the first 15 minutes? I think they should have just had one of each.
Yeah.
And maybe they're both separated and they're trying to get back, and when they get back, that's when all hell's going to break loose, and so maybe have two different things going on. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, it is an excellent movie. Of course, another Toby Hooper movie.
Yeah, very cool. But Event Horizon gives me that sci-fi feel, like that. That outer space. I'm stuck and something's trying to get me. Like that's like when I think of sci-fi, I think of that feeling.
Yeah, and it gets so much. I mean, it's almost that movie. It's almost like, oh, I know I'm going to be touting my favorite movie here, but it's kind of like part Alien and part Hellraiser in a little bit.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
a lot of people will say, and I've seen people in the Hellraiser community consider it almost like a canon movie within the Hellraiser lore because they kind of think that what's going on here are Cenobites or whatever.
Yeah.
And that what they're going into is the Leviathan
Hmm.
is what's happening. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting comparison, but yeah, I could see that. And then of course you have the alien aspects of it being on this old ship, and you gets very claustrophobic there. And
And that's like with Sam Neill. He was on like a 2 year cosmic horror run because he did In the Mouth of Madness the year before,
Yeah.
and then Event Horizon within a year or two later. So he's just like killing it with the Lovecraftian
Hmm.
sci-fi. Well, I guess sci-fi for Event Horizon specifically, but yeah. So nice run for him.
Hmm.
oh yeah, but if you, we don't think of him as when we think like some of our top elite actors in horror. Obviously, the usual names come up, whether it's the old school guys like Lugosi, Karloff, Lee, Cushing, and then of course Robert Englund, Kane Hodder. But we always seem to forget about Sam Neill because let's see here, he's been in Possession, a
Hmm.
movie I talked about on
Just
the last
watched
episode.
it. You know,
Damien Omen, what was it? Omen 3, I think he was
yeah.
in, and
He's
then
incredible.
yeah, like I said, Mouth of Madness, Event Horizon. So
Even
while
Jurassic
he's
Park, not horror, not sci-fi horror necessarily, but kind of adjacent. It's
mhm,
so
Yeah.
for sure.
absolutely one of them. So yeah, Life Force was another good one from the '80s.
Hmm.
Skyla, what's one or two sci-fi horror movies you wanted to bring up tonight?
Well, the first one I thought of, because I'm predictable and it's like one of my favorite movies, was They Live.
Yep.
Perfect.
Cool.
So there was that one. And then if we're talking about like aliens, technically, I guess I could bring up Brightburn since he is an
Ooh.
alien. I mean, it's a Superman horror, but technically it kind of works. So
I've never seen that one.
Oh, it's so good.
really,
It's really good. Okay, I have to check it out.
Yeah. Good.
Excellent. Yeah, well, yeah, that's one I haven't seen either. But of course, They Live. There's the perfect example. It was just about a month ago. I sometimes go over a friend's house who's a bit younger than me. Well, I say younger, he's in his 30s, okay? And there's been a lot of movies he hasn't seen. So oftentimes I will introduce him to a movie. And he had not seen John Carpenter's They Live yet. And we're watching this thing, and here's a movie that was made in '88, I think.
88, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this everything that's going on in this movie is almost happening now." Did
yeah.
Carpenter predict the
Yep.
future? And it's like, well, some of this stuff was going on even back then, but yeah. So, and he enjoyed the hell out of the movie. So,
And kudos to Carpenter for like just having the eye to choose Rowdy Roddy Piper as
Yes.
his lead in that. Which you think on paper and in thought would be a failure, but he's perfect. Because the only other actor that I would want to see in that role would be Kurt Russell, and that would be a different movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But his non-acting, there's certain scenes where Carpenter's able to like pull out some acting from him, or at least
mhm,
edit it in a way where it seems like it. That he
yeah,
actually is like a credible guy, but he's just amazing in that.
Because
An awesome cast anyway of like
Hmm.
Carpenter actors. But
wasn't
Oh
the
yeah.
wasn't the I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass and I'm all out
Yeah.
of bubblegum?
Yep.
That was
Yeah.
yeah, it was ad lib,
Yep.
I think. Yeah.
yeah, even
Yeah.
Mama don't like tattletales. Like I
Yeah,
think
Mama
he
don't like
came up with
tattletales.
that. Yeah, so he's
Yes.
like his wrestling improv was perfect, perfect for it.
Yeah.
And even though he's like this giant guy, I buy him as like this drifter that's just like
Hmm.
drifting from
Hmm.
town to town looking for work. He just feels like that. So,
Yeah.
and I think him never being in a movie, like for some reason, it just like I said, he works in this movie when he's probably not going to work in a lot of movies, but he definitely he does it well. So
I heard that how he ended up getting the role was John Carpenter happened to be in attendance to, I think it was WrestleMania 3. And he actually got a chance to meet Piper backstage, and they hit it off fairly well. So he decided, hey, you want to be in a movie? That's kind of how it happened, I think. It's either WrestleMania 2 or WrestleMania 3. And yeah, I think Carpenter probably originally did think of Kurt Russell for that role, but maybe there was something where maybe Russell had something else going on, or maybe sometimes you do too many movies together where it's almost expected. So
yeah, I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad at the end of the day that it was Roddy Piper. And believe me, I would prefer Russell in any movie, pretty much. But it's a testament to how good he is in it. That it would be neat to see that alternate universe movie with They Live with Russell in it. But again, it's just kind of a different movie. Those are two very different guys, and I don't know that Russell, because it's kind of a in between for him where he's not quite playing the Jack Burton silly character, but he's also not the deeply serious Snake Plissken McCready character either.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see if he kind of met that in the middle more, or how he would play that, role. Kind of interesting. So
interesting. So Skylar, what did you like about They Live?
Kind of like what you said, how it literally just, hey, here's everything that's going on in the world. You might be blind to it. Here's the movie to tell you what's going on, so you're not blind to it anymore. Which I really like the metaphor of using the sunglasses as kind of like the rose-colored glasses, but opposite. I think that's a really cool way that he was able to bring that into the movie.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think that's it's a movie that's still talked about today, maybe even more so today. So it's one of Carpenter's more brilliant writing, I think, or stories. I can't remember if he wrote that himself or if it was adapted. I think it came from a short story originally. Okay.
Yeah.
in that fight
I can't
scene,
remember who wrote the original short story though.
Yeah,
You were
that fight scene is my favorite scene from the movie because Keith,
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name, Keith Daniels or
David.
I want to say
David.
Keith Gordon, or Keith David, yeah, because Keith Gordon's
Yeah.
in Christine. He's the
Yeah.
nerd.
Yeah. It's just so good, and then he's of course good in The Thing, and it's just it's such a good movie, a good scene.
Yeah.
I met Keith David a few years ago at a convention, and it was he had one of the longest lines there, and this was a big convention too, like the Fan Expo, and I was a little, well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but because most of the people for this is more of a superhero type of convention with a few other stragglers, but he had a really long line there, but I did get to chat with him for a few minutes, and really nice guy there. And I tell you what, in that fight scene, for the most part, he kicks Roddy Piper's ass in that scene for the most part.
He's like, "Will you just put on the goddamn glasses?" I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's amazing.
Yeah, and then plus Keith David also, he was Goliath in the Gargoyles animated. I don't know if you all watched that as a kid.
Hell yes.
But yeah,
He's
that's
the voice actor for Spawn too, right?
I think so. Yeah,
I think he's done a lot of voice acting roles.
Wow.
one of the great voices, like such a good voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the first movies trying to think here. Well, I remember, and this isn't horror, but I remember him being in Oliver Stone's Platoon, which he did a really good job in that movie. Of course, like the whole cast did, but I remember him in that film. I think I probably saw that before I actually saw The Thing, to be honest. So Platoon was probably the first thing I saw Keith David in. But
That's very good.
so, Kyle, what's a couple movies that you have?
Okay, so
Like
I figure we saved the ultimate ones for the end.
Okay.
So and we know what those are. There's technically four I think of that are like the pillars of like sci-fi horror, really. And one might be controversial to some people and them not consider it horror, although it is. And I think you all probably know what I'm talking about. Okay, so for two, I've got to go first off The Fly. I know
Yeah.
Frankenstein is the ultimate, and that could be the original or the I'm gonna focus on the remake here because I've just seen it so much more. And as much as I love the original with Vincent Price, like The Thing, I think The Fly Cronenberg remake or retelling of it is superior technically to the original. So, but yeah, and I've written about it in the past. I think on top of it, it's almost like three genres in one. It's this a horror film. It's a sci-fi film with the mad scientist narrative, and really like how science can doom us, right? Like our hubris and flying too close, the Icarus flying too close to the sun. But then also too, it's like this really tragic romance as well. This kind of meet cute that turns into just this really tragic ending that honestly, I think it's one of the more emotional endings of any movie. I mean, I'd still like kind of tear up at the end of that movie when it. I don't want to spoil for anybody that hasn't seen this 40-plus-year-old movie, but yeah, it's excellent. I think like The Thing, it's pretty perfect in what it is. Again, it's a master director taking an already well-made sci-fi horror movie from the black and white from the 50s. That may have been to watch today might have a little bit of cheesiness in its special effects and its acting and things like that, but it's ultimately classics. But then retelling it and regearing it and retextualizing it into what would have been the AIDS crisis and just aging in general, and even with The Thing, just like Cold War distrust and neuroticism and things like that. So yeah, it's and I think it's one that it's like one of the greatest horror films that's ever been made, sci-fi horror or beyond. And it's going to be, I think it's Cronenberg's best film still. And I think it's one that's going to stand the test of time, and that, Substackers 50 years from now, when we're no longer doing this, they're still going to, horror fans are always going to be talking about it.
Yep.
It's never going to go away. Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum's performances are just excellent. And it's truly, on top of everything like The Thing, even more so, it's just it's a very touching human story. And it's based around a scientist with the hubris to try to test, almost take on a godlike role, and then, ultimately there's consequences that come with that, and he has to pay the price, and so does his love interest in Gina Davis there as well, who cares about him. So that
that's a
and then
recurring theme in Cronenberg movies too. It's man tries to play God. FAFO, film
Yeah.
11.
And to your point too, Yanni, with bringing up body horror in general, I think it's the greatest body horror film. Not just Cronenberg's greatest, but just in general. I can't think of. I could maybe be dissuaded or persuaded into another movie, but I can't think of any film that's body horror centric that is better and more just markedly loved than The Fly. Really.
Yeah.
So Cronenberg comes close in a lot of ways, and like Reanimator comes close in some of these others, but for me, The Fly is the peak of the mountain. So for sure.
You know what I like that, and I don't know if it's Cronenberg or his son that did it, but I don't know. To me, I think take out the storyline, but as far as like body horror is concerned, that is just different and really unique. Have you seen Possessor?
Yeah,
That's his son, Brandon.
That's his son.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that movie is phenomenal.
yeah. He's done some, like he is his dad for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to see.
That's kind of like sci-fi, 'cause it's like this technology.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had one that he did before that, which it was like the concept was it was set in the near future, but celebrities would like take viruses and sicknesses and things they had, and they would extract it, and then it would be sold on a market for their fans, where their fans could inject the diseases of their
Yeah.
favorite celebrities into them.
Huh.
Yeah.
What movie? What's the name of that? I know what you're talking about. I
Is
can't
it
remember the name of it.
Viral? It might be called Viral.
I haven't seen that one. I've seen his
I
two
wanna-
movies, Possessor and Infinity Pool, but I haven't seen
Yeah,
Pyro
this
yet.
was his first film, and it's like an excellent debut. I highly
Antiviral.
recommend it. What is it called? Antiviral. Antiviral. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. But and I haven't seen it in a few years, but
Yeah, neither have
I watched
but
it
so
and I was
good.
like, I have complete stock in this guy now. He's like,
Yeah.
could be as good as he's like a chip off the old block. I will fall, and he just seems to keep getting better, really,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah, that's a really good movie.
definitely.
I was thinking about The Fly, and something I was thinking about, it was a lot easier in the 80s, okay, or even if you want to go in the early 90s, to go back and remake a film from, say, the 40s or 50s, and you could get away with it because the technology and what you were allowed to show on screen, you weren't allowed to do back then. So you could do a reimagination, whether it's The Thing, The Blob is another one, The Fly. Those are like the three 80s remakes I can think of that were probably better than the originals.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it seems like if you took a movie that was made in the 80s and tried to remake it now, it just doesn't land because, by and large, I don't want to say movies look the same as they did 40 years ago, because they didn't, but the technology is pretty much about the same unless you start resorting to too much CGI or AI, in which case the effects go from really good to worse. So instead of getting better, they're getting worse. But
that's what I was thinking too. It's like if you tried to remake, let's say, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, it would be CGI AI slot, CGI AI slot for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you look at The Fly from the 50s and then the 80, I think Cronenberg's came out in 85, 86.
yeah, 86. So it's 4
Yeah.
years old now.
It's like those movies were made in different centuries. But yeah, I mean, you just cannot. There's no, and the Thing prequel is an example of this. The CGI thing in the prequel of just call it again The Thing does not hold a candle to the actual practical is it Bottin or Bottin?
Bottin. Rob Bottin.
His masterful special effects in Carpenter's movie, and I know that's kind of jumping ahead to an obvious one that we're going to talk about later, but yeah, I mean, you just can't. CGI is just not going to, the slime and the rubber and the tangible touch of that, where these actors are really with that creature, and just like just to circle back to The Fly, what he ultimately, his final metamorphosis at the end is, for me, other than The Thing, is probably, at least of the 80s, is my favorite movie monster. Like there's something scary about it, and it's definitely monstrous, but at the same time, especially in the face, like there's some, like, you can still feel his humanity within that model, and you couldn't if it was, I think, a generated model. And so when he crawls, when he comes out of the telepod finally, and it's fused him with the other telepod, and he's basically like this just mangled mess, and he crawls up to her and puts the shotgun to his forehead.
Yep.
Like, this just gives me chills, and there's like, you can see this you can still see, you can feel that character as a human still within him, right? There's still some shreds of humanity left, where he's had enough and he's ready to he's depart. And so, and again, that's just not going to translate as easy today if we didn't have that. And I think until they figure out a way to replicate the practical effects, they're gonna have a hard time if they remade The Fly now. I mean, I wouldn't even want to see it, honestly. I don't even know if I'd want to see it.
I wouldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
we had this brief discussion with the panel I had on the last episode about them remaking Possession, and
Oh yeah.
I have no idea how you're going to do that, because part
I
of the.
just watched that a couple nights ago, and it's like,
What did you think?
well, so I've seen it before. Like, I
Oh,
love
okay.
it. It's like top 25 favorite horror movies from me all time. Like, love
Mm-hmm.
it. They're just it's just an insane movie, and I say that lovingly. It's just if anyone who hasn't seen Possession, I would advise you to make sure you're in the right frame of mind for it. And it's a ride that you just have to give over to it. It's not going to make any sense. The acting is just like it's coming from another planet. But it's this ultimately, if you go into it as like this madness, really, I think that's being caused by some type of Lovecraftian cosmic force, right? It's like, and it's also just this really interesting treatise on like marriage in general, which I find, because if you know that the director is going through a really bad divorce, and he wrote that, I think is like a stress valve for that. You're like, what was this guy going through? How bad was that marriage? Because it's just,
Hopefully it wasn't that bad.
I mean, man. I mean, we could talk about Possession. You could have a whole episode just on
I
Possession.
probably could.
But to remake that is just lame to me. It's like it's nothing sacred. Just leave it alone. You're just not going to top that. You're not going
Well,
to
that
top
and I
the
don't
movie.
and I don't know what the audience is because that's not like a big, it's not a well-known title per se. Those of us who know about it aren't going to really have much of an interest in seeing the remake. Younger people who haven't seen it aren't going to know what this is about. And hopefully, I mean, well, Molly said this on the last episode. Well, maybe if younger people go and see it, and maybe if they don't like it, they'll go watch the original and discover the original. So that would be the one positive thing of that.
To be honest, I feel like people more my age have been liking original titles more. Like Obsession and Backrooms, I think are a really good example of that. Those went number one because they were original and not IP based.
Yeah, that makes sense. It'll be interesting, Skyla, when you're. Are you Gen Z? Are you millennial?
I'm an older Gen Z.
Older Gen Z, okay, and
Yeah.
I'm older millennial. So it'll be interesting when Gen Z is in like the leadership roles, and if they will want to remake the stuff that they love as much as people Gen X from the '80s has wanted to remake so many '80s franchises and '90s franchises. If we will continue to see this retread of remakes, that your generation love now, the remake of Obsession in 20 years, something like that. Like,
That's true. I
you
didn't
know.
even think about that.
But there were probably people in 1982 that were like complaining about John Carpenter remaking their favorite horror movie, which was
That's
The
true.
Thing.
Yeah.
And then but they went and saw that and were probably like, holy shit, okay, he actually did it. And I have less faith. Not everybody is John Carpenter, so like
Yeah.
I don't have faith in some of these remakes that are being. And there's some remakes that like I thought were bad years ago that I've come back to, and I'm like, actually that's pretty good. The Hills Have Eyes is an example of like, that's actually a pretty damn good remake. But yeah. So anyway, but again, I could talk all night about The Fly, but it's pretty perfect. So
Yeah, the Fly's definitely a good. And as soon as earlier when we mentioned the mad scientist and Yanni, you talked about body horror, immediately popped in my head The Fly. Well, my friend's going to bring that one up. I'm sure they will. But Yanni, what's one you'd like to discuss tonight?
Well, I'd like to stay with Cronenberg for a minute.
Okay.
Somewhere where Kyle and I differ. While Kyle likes The Fly, I love Videodrome.
I love it, man. Love it.
Yeah, Videodrome to me, and again, when we're talking about They Live being even very relevant today, I think Videodrome is also very relevant today because you're talking about a movie where it's media consumes us, alters our neurology, rewrites basically everything. I mean, you just look at what we call news, and I mean how much it's rewritten a lot of people's brains.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's the best James Woods movie out there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just the whole thing in general. You get the tumor comes in, and he gets like that VHS slot in his stomach, and it's just so perfect. And I loved, what do they call it? The new flesh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's, to me, that's what makes me love body horror. Because obviously I'm a Trekkie, so we talk about the Borg all the time too. Um, it's the corruption of the mind to change the body, or the selling out of the mind and the soul to change the body. And I mean, you look at Videodrome, you look at the Borg from Star Trek, perfect examples of that. I mean, you are completely hollowed out as a human being. I mean, you can even go, into The Fly is another good one for that. So, but for me, yeah, Videodrome I think is one of my all-time favorites. I don't even. It's actually weirdly in my comfort movies list.
I think we all have weird comfort movies.
Johnny, your comfort is just Debbie Harry in that. I know.
Love Debbie Harry.
That was a great bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, trying to pick a favorite Cronenberg movie is a difficult one. You can't really go wrong because I don't know if he's ever really made objectively a bad movie or not that I can think of. I haven't seen his entire list. I think my favorite one of his wasn't even a horror movie, and that was History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen.
Oh, that movie is phenomenal.
Excellent.
Oh my gosh, that's an excellent movie.
But as far as his horror, it's kind of like...
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, that was a Cronenberg film. So,
wow.
Even two that are would be in my top 5 Cronenberg that I don't know if you would technically call them sci-fi or even horror, but they feel like it in a way, is Dead Ringers, where Jeremy Irons is the twin gynecologist.
Mm-hmm.
That has an almost science fiction body horror feel to it.
Yeah.
It probably is some body horror on some level. And then Crash. I don't know if you all have ever seen.
Oh.
Yeah, I've not seen that one.
So that's a J.G. Ballard story that, he's a sci-fi writer in a lot of cases. So that movie, I don't know if it's really, I don't think it's set in the future at all, but it definitely, the subject matter, it's body horror, but it feels almost like science fiction in a way too, where he just, no matter what story he's tackling, he just can't help but give that vibe to it at the very least. So for sure. Have you all seen The Brood? Have you all ever seen The Brood?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Gross but good.
Yeah.
So freaking those little. Skyla, have you ever seen The Brood?
I've heard of it. I don't know if I've ever seen it.
It's on HBO if you have HBO Max, but it is
Yeah.
it is. I would argue that it's maybe it's not my favorite of his, but it is I would put it in probably top 5, 6, something like that. But it is maybe his scariest, genuinely just creepiest movie, I think, with the monsters that are in it. I don't want to give it away for you, but yeah, it's pretty creepy for sure. So
I might watch that tonight then.
I think it's also on Shudder. I think so.
It probably is.
Yeah.
I think
There's another glaring Cronenberg I'm thinking of that we haven't mentioned, which we could just have Cronenberg sci-fi night and just talk about that.
Well, it's interesting. Somewhere near the future, I was thinking about doing an episode featuring directors, and I was thinking about doing the ones that all end with C: Carpenter, Cronenberg, and Craven. And
oh, that's cool.
That's a great idea.
Maybe in a couple months I'll do something like that. But
we could just call Romero Camaro, and we could just.
Yeah, Videodrome. I'm trying. If I was to rank them, I probably would put Videodrome just barely ahead of The Fly, but then I would probably put Shivers just barely ahead of both of those. Shivers, I think that was one of his first movies that he did, if not the first one of the first. That was 72, 73 when that came out.
Yeah. I would put Videodrome at number 2. It's right there with like Dead Ringer. Again, The Fly is just like the on the hillside or whatever, right? But like, um, but like for my next ones, yeah, it's close right there between Videodrome and Dead Ringers. Jeremy Irons is just so perfect in Dead Ringers as those twins, but
He's another actor that doesn't miss in whatever he does.
no, he could be in the worst movie of the year, but
Yeah.
he's still going to be awesome.
Like Batman versus Superman.
Right.
He was good in it. I don't know about everyone. Well, it was just bad writing. But anyhow, if anyone's a fan of that movie, I'm sorry, but
Shivers is another great one. Yeah, with Videodrome, like just that iconic, to Yanni's point, like with the VHS slot within the kind of like almost vaginal looking, it's just like it to me. I always come back to those movies, and what fascinates me so much is that Cronenberg was able to not only pull it off, like this just like some of the weirdest imagery you'll see in a movie. But the fact that like a studio was like, yeah, I'll give you $10 million to make this movie about this very phallic, just VHS tape that goes. I don't know. It's just nuts how he was able to like get away with what he did, and then it also be not just good, but like some of the best films made. Right, like just and he's arguably the best Canadian. So yeah. But it's and James Woods. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was saying the 70s and 80s became a real free-for-all for what you could kind of, to a certain degree, what you could get away with. It was just kind of weird that ever so often the MPAA would pick on a movie and just strip it down back then. Like the later Friday the 13th sequels were notorious for being severe, cutting a lot of the gore out of those movies for whatever reason, but then they'll turn around and let someone else do something far worse than what was going to be shown. But
it's like done in a way that like some of the years get away with,
kind of cut out there.
Oh, did I cut out?
Yeah, just a little.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said it's like slashers got picked on. Because they were the blatant gore films, so it's like they got picked on in a way that maybe Videodrome didn't. And I would argue, I mean, you could watch Videodrome and then you could watch Friday the 13th Part 4. Mm-hmm. Videodrome is the more fucked up movie, right?
Yeah.
As far as like visually,
Yeah,
way more fucked up. So, and that's what's crazy is like you go back and watch the Friday the 13th movies and like I love those movies, but they're pretty tame visually as far as like the gore and stuff, right? So.
I mean,
But it's like they got all the spotlight was on them to kind of clean those things up, and then Cronenberg's over here just
Cronenberg's over here going, nah.
yeah.
God bless him for it. I mean, I'm glad that they let him just cook, but
Oh, that handgun scene at the end of
Oh, it's insane, but it's awesome.
Perfect. Yeah.
So, and James Woods is perfect as the sleazy. You could not have cast any better than James Woods as this just shithead, sleazy.
Especially with what we know now. Yes.
Yeah, maybe Miguel Ferrer from RoboCop.
Yeah.
Oh, he's another good actor.
He could have pulled it off, but man, James Woods is just the best sleaze.
Oh yeah, when you
not far off in real life either. I think.
No,
I don't think he's acting. I don't think he's acting that much. He's playing himself, but no, man.
Or when he plays himself on some of the episodes on the Family Guy.
Ooh, piece of candy.
Yeah. One thing I've thought about, we think about some of the things that these writers, directors are trying to say within the movies. It made me think of talking about Frankenstein going way back. I'm wondering what was going on in the 1800s that prompted Mary Shelley to write a story about the dangers of man going too far with science. I'm like, what was going on that prompted her to think, this might not be a good idea here, people, and it still resonates today.
probably the world changing, like just science
They must have been
drastically.
going through a renaissance period or something
Yeah.
with that, I guess.
Well, didn't
For sure.
she pen that right around the time of the Industrial Revolution? Didn't she?
I think so. I mean, she was like 18 when she wrote that.
1818.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
young.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think what year that was in the 1800s that was published.
1818.
1818. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably would have been around that time. Yeah, and I mean, there was like, I'm trying to think if one of her family members was a physician, but maybe there were just like certain leaps and bounds, just scientifically with medicine and things like that. That on top of like technological industrial changes, that it was all moving a little too fast for her. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
And she's kind of the ultimate original goth girl too. So, life and death was. I mean, that comes with the territory. So.
Oh, yeah. And let's see here. I got someone in the comments. Last
Hey,
year,
David,
Fred. Thanks for joining us. He's stated, speaking of David Cronenberg, his remake of the 1950s classic The Fly is such a very disturbing movie because in the original movie, he and the insect switch DNA. In the remake, they, merge into body horror.
Yeah.
So that's a good point there.
Definitely. But it's pretty tragic. I mean, that ending's pretty tragic too. When he's like, what is it? He's like, help me. I think it's been forever since I've seen it, but yeah, it's a very dark, bleak ending for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I guess one movie I was going to bring up that's outside of the usual ones is, and it's a movie that's probably once again not considered a horror, and I didn't consider it horror up until about someone pointed out to me 6 or 7 years ago, and that's from 1984, James Cameron's The Terminator. Now, we can argue that the sequels are definitely action-packed sci-fi action movies, but that first one is, if you look how it's paced, and just the mannerisms, and maybe it's just Arnold being Arnold, but it's very slasher-esque in everything that's going on, from the stalking aspects, the fact that this killer has one mission. He's going to kill this person and anyone that gets in his way. And it's like, it's really big on the whole, there's a lot of tension in that film throughout the movie. And, Sarah Connor kind of follows the typical stages of the final girl. She's a little bit clumsy, a little bit unsure of herself at the beginning, and then slowly gains her confidence and, of course, crushes the Terminator. And goes against one of the other typical tropes. She actually has sex in the movie, and she doesn't die.
Yes.
We can't say the same thing for Kyle, but Kyle Reese, I mean, but
Oh, I thought you meant. I'm sorry. I was like, hey, I've had sex and I'm still alive. Thank you.
I remember when Terminator Part, the one with the liquid the liquid guy.
Yeah, Terminator.
And I remember there was no social media back then, but the news, and they made such a big deal about her pumping this shotgun with one arm and how she was so buff in the movie. They made such a big deal about it. And I just remember okay, like she's pumping the shotgun with one hand. She's stronger in this movie. Like she's beyond being the final girl. You know what I mean? And it was so funny how back before social media and all this stuff, like what people focused on for news was so funny because they've never seen like a woman with like muscles and she was built.
Whereas just a few years prior to that, you had the character of one that I know you really like, Vasquez from Aliens,
right,
kind of in that genre. But maybe it's because she was more of a supporting character, and Linda Hamilton was pretty much right behind Arnold as far as the billing of that movie. But with the first Terminator 2. Once again, a movie that's like almost looking into the future and telling us what could happen if we let stuff get away from us. And where we are now, data center.
Skynet, my friend. Skynet is here.
Yeah.
So here's the funny thing, the real fun fact about it. the guy who played the other Terminator, the T-1000,
Robert
ended up
Patrick.
in Wayne's World doing that scene while the movie was still in theaters. By the way, a lot of people forget that they
Oh
shot that
yeah.
and the minute they called him, he was excited to do it because he wanted to take the piss out of that character.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Have you ever had an argument where someone, another movie fan you talk to that or another horror fan that disagrees with you that it? Because I agree. I think it's a horror film, and you take a gun out of his hand and you put a knife in the Terminator's hand, and it's. I think people quit arguing.
You're right.
About that,
Yeah. It'll be a
Yeah,
slap. Yeah.
I've
but
had,
ultimately, he's just Michael Myers with a gun in a lot of ways.
I was gonna say, I wonder if Cameron, when he was making that movie, and when it came to directing some of those scenes, I always think of the scene where he breaks into her house and ends up killing her roommate and her roommate's boyfriend. I'm thinking to myself, I wonder how much Cameron was a fan of Halloween, because it just felt so much something like you would have saw in Halloween's 1 or 2, which would have came out prior to that, because it's just so very Michael Myers-esque. There's no remorse, no emotion from this character whatsoever, and
You think about the Terminators, though. I mean, they're non-stop killing machines.
right.
So, I mean, it's every... And then, you still have, the technological takeover, Skynet. I mean, how many horror things are in the Terminator franchise?
Well, and they're just as remorseless as Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Less human, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Terminator 2, when he starts to kind of gain humanity, I guess. But
Yeah.
but I think it's interesting too. Like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like there's a lot of films that are horror adjacent that a lot of horror fans, quote unquote, would argue that just don't fit. Like when you were talking about that, my first thought was Jurassic Park. Not necessarily the films, but the novels for sure. They're very disturbing.
Yeah.
I have heard that about Jurassic. I'm sorry to say, Jurassic Park came out 10 years too late for me. Because, well, what I mean is, had those movies came out in the early 80s, I would have been all about them, because at that point, given the age I was heavily into dinosaurs. But come the 90s came around, when they started coming out, I was like, so I've never seen one of them. So, but I hear a lot of people will say, particularly with the first one, that's very much has some horror elements to that.
Josh, you've never seen the first Jurassic Park?
Nope.
Oh my
That's
god.
crazy.
I know. I'm a lost cause.
Josh,
Am I gonna have to
We have
start
a lot to catch up on.
that one's.
I
But don't
do.
feel bad. I just found out maybe 2 weeks ago that Jurassic Park was a book. So,
Oh,
and I
wow.
heard.
Well, see, I at least knew that.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't know
very
that.
different. It's Skylar. Have you read Michael Crichton's book?
I haven't, but I really want to, because I've heard such
Yeah, me too.
disturbing like I've heard like the little raptors eating a baby.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
It's
yeah.
different and darker than the Spielberg movie, right? Like I watched. Let's see, because Jurassic Park came out when I was like 10 years old, and I was a dinosaur kid, like most little boys. And so I think I saw it 4 times in the theater. I was just begging my parents to keep taking me back. So I remember, I'll never forget, I was at the mall and I saw the poster for Jurassic Park, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I didn't say fuck, but I was like, what is this? And then actually seeing it, and it was like a religious experience. I mean, it was just amazing. I saw T2, so I saw Batman 89, Terminator 2 in 90, and then Jurassic Park in like 93. And that was like 3 of the ultimate movies as a kid that I got to see in theaters. But yeah, I haven't read the Michael Crichton book since like maybe 8th grade, right around there. It was like middle school. But I remember being good. The movie's better. I think it's the adaptation is an improvement over the book, but it's very different for sure. So I'd be interested to see what you think about it. And there's so much of it I don't remember, but yeah,
It's interesting too, because I believe the film is what inspired the book, if I remember correctly. It was actually like It was made around the same exact time as the film was being developed.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
wow.
That's
Yeah.
a unusual.
I'm trying to look it up.
Very interesting. It's a really crazy story about the production of both the book and the film.
Oh, okay, yeah. What's weird too is there's the book, there was the movie, and then there was a novelization of. Remember, like they used to do novelizations in like
Yeah.
the 80s and
All
90s.
the time. Yeah.
There was a Jurassic Park novelization that you could read too. That was of the movie, a book of the movie, instead of the actual Crichton book. So, and I'm not sure who wrote the novelization, but yeah, you had that as well. So it was. But yeah, but Josh, you at least got to see the first one. You could not see the rest of them, and you'd be fine. Like they're okay. but,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
That
I
is
the
agree.
first
true.
one is just stone cold classic.
You-
Yeah.
You'll actually be thankful you didn't see the rest of them. Well, Lost World's okay, but
Yeah, it's not bad. It's
Yeah.
all right.
All the ones with the original cast are the winners. Once they, go into the new cast.
You would think, me being a big fan of Sam Neill, that yes, I would have seen it, but I just haven't. I don't know. I got lost somewhere in the 90s and started watching crazy stuff from Italy. So around that
the
time.
Italians spoil us every time.
I know. Damn Italians. But-
Well, here's one that might also be a little bit in the controversial era, and I'm not just bringing up the series on Amazon, but I'm also going to bring up the video games, Fallout.
I
okay.
can see
There's
that.
a lot of horror and there's a lot of science fiction involved
Yeah.
with Fallout as well,
Is that
especially if you
zombies?
played the games.
Is that zombies in space, Yanni? On
No.
the spaceship? Oh, okay.
I
Oh
mean-
no, I'm sorry. Fallout is the. Never mind. I'm mixing that up with Dead.
But see,
Dead
you know, and I'll
Space.
say this: the one thing that made me angry about the Fallout series so far is they haven't brought in what I think is one of the greatest body horror ideas of all time, and that is the Master. It's a scientist in the where they made the original FEV batches, fell in and merged with a computer. So he's this computer just grows out of him. He's still got his skin. Like if you've ever played the first Fallout, which is where you meet the Master. Matter of fact, it's at the end of the game, you talk to the Master and you have to make a choice whether you're going to destroy him or you become a super mutant. And it's, to me, it's one of the most visually disturbing things of all time.
Oh, wow.
And it's just absolutely brilliant. But there is so many horror, sci-fi. There's even, you go further into the games, like 3 and 4, especially when Bethesda took it over. And there's so many Lovecraftian themes as well. There's one in Fallout 4. It's I believe it's called Hugo's Hole. And it's a whole thing of you walk in and you have a flashback of a cult. Literally a cult just right in the middle worshiping. And holy cow, man, I'm telling you, I think, I don't know where to put Fallout. I mean, like, especially a lot of the post-apocalyptic movies.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to figure those things out.
Yeah. And plus, there's so many horror sci-fi scenes in non-horror sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember when you were just describing the movie and talking about the computer, what popped into my head as a kid, I remember watching Superman Part 3, and it scared the shit out of me when the guy's sister turned into the robot.
Yes.
That scene
Yes.
with things wrapping around her, that scene is so scary. And it's literally horror sci-fi. She became a computer or whatever.
I remember
it was.
seeing that.
Machine.
I remember seeing that movie too in the theater and thinking, "Oh, this would be a good laugh." Richard Pryor is going to be
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
Superman
Pryor,
movie,
yeah.
and then they have this scene.
Yeah,
and like,
that scene was
holy
Scary
shit!
as shit. Yeah.
Speaking of, just to tie in as far as like maybe ones that are adjacent to to everyone, to Scott and everybody's point, and I watch this one because I rewatch it like every year at least. It's just unbelievably rewatchable, but. Predator, where in a lot of ways it works is just as much as the Terminator as a slasher film, but it goes so far action for so long that I don't think of it as a horror film in the same way that the Terminator is to me, because even though the Terminator is an action film, there's just more sci-fi horror elements within it. The action doesn't overwhelm the sci-fi and the horror of it. Where with Predator, yes, it's very sci-fi as much. It's not a robot; it's an alien, but it's just so action heavy. It overwhelms any slasher connective tissue, I guess, in a way. And if you were to argue, I actually think Predator's a horror movie, I wouldn't argue against it. I like the idea of that, but it's like Silence of the Lambs to me. I like the idea of it being a horror movie, but it doesn't feel that way to me, I guess, So, Aliens, the sequel to Aliens is the same. Like, to your point, Kimberly, there's specific scenes that are very horrific, but it's more like Terminator 2, and then it's like a sci-fi action movie than it is the original, which we'll talk about later. But
Corey.
for sure,
I think Predator is a movie that starts off like Rambo and ends like Friday the 13th. Kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
You have a guy hunting you in the woods, and he's taking people out one by one,
Well, Kim and Skylar, you are the final girl experts. Is Dutch a final boy? Does he fall under the final boy mold?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm gonna give it to him just because there's not a lot of final boys.
Yeah. I mean, I consider Danny Glover more of a final boy in the Predator franchise than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger got lucky. But Danny Glover was, he was a badass. He was to the, strategy and everything. I don't know.
Well, that was the thing. Danny Glover's far less what's unassuming. I mean, Schwarzenegger, you see him, he's built, you expect him to win, Predator at that point had killed off a bunch of other, big hulking guys as well. Whereas Danny Glover is just a fairly normal looking guy. We know that his character has, a fear of heights. He does not like being up heights. We see that in the opening scene. And
hey, pretty
in that
boy.
respect,
Yeah.
I know who that is.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh, okay. I was like wondering who's she talking
I'm
to?
reading the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. But now, of course, you go also in the Predator franchise, and I know Kimberly's one of her favorite final girls is from Prey. Is it Nehru? Yeah.
That movie's awesome.
Yeah.
That's it. And that one leads, I think, a little bit more heavy into the horror aspects, I think, and maybe less of the... I mean, there's obviously action scenes in it, but it leans more into the horror aspects of, like, shall we say, the second half of the first Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the third one veers more into like a Dirty Dozen, Inglourious Bastard situation where all of them in their own ways, kind of bad people that are forced to, to fight. So.
Oh yeah, Predators.
A movie I actually like pretty well. It's not as good. Yeah, it's got its strengths for sure.
And plus, Fishburne is in it. Lawrence Fishburne is in it. So.
Yes, of course. It's an added star. That's like if you're doing like a 10-point rating. If Lawrence Fishburne's in a movie, you automatically have to add at least 1 or 2 points to it. It's just like if Samuel L. Jackson or Christopher Lee show up in a movie, no matter how bad it is, The Howling 2 gets at least a 5 because Christopher Lee accounts for 2 points automatically.
Fact.
But okay, well, hey, Kyle, you said you had some other lists, so let's go ahead and get to the big ones that you were wanting to mention.
Okay, so I think
You're cutting in and out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you guys see me?
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Really? Check my.
Don't stay like
There you
that.
go.
Now we got
It's
it.
good now.
Okay, cool. Do you want me to name the ones that are in the news, or some more interesting ones that maybe people don't think about as much?
Go ahead, do one that people don't think as much.
Okay. Well, Okay, so I've got two. One going back to Cronenberg is Scanners, which is
Mm.
Okay.
like underrated,
Uh-huh.
underrated Cronenberg. Can you all hear? Can you hear me? Okay, I feel like my audio's
Yeah.
It's
okay.
going
Cool.
Yeah, if you
kind of
just
good.
stay sit still in that position there, you'll be good.
Right here. Okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wrap some tinfoil on your head and lean a little to the left.
gotcha. But yeah, so Scanners is one, and there's another that I would be interested. This may be arguably not one, but have you ever seen Altered States?
Yeah, I
With
confuse
William
that with
Hurt?
scanners all the time.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
another mad scientist flying too
Hmm.
close to the sun movie. And I
Yeah.
could see where someone would think that it's not a horror film. There's definitely enough horrific elements where I think it's at least very closely adjacent. But that's one that a lot of people. It was a Ken Russell movie. Speaking of Frankenstein, he made a movie called Gothic about Mary Shelley and Percy and those guys like when they all wrote their stories.
Long time ago too. I
Yeah.
remember seeing it, but I don't remember much of it.
So it's the same guy. So like it's all like it, but it's just this very trippy, almost like psychedelic. Altered States is, and so if for anyone who hasn't seen it, but the ending I think falls apart just a little bit, but everything leading up to that is pretty excellent. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a kind of an underseen classic, so for sure. But I just wanted to get your all's take if you all thought that was who has seen it. Would you consider that sci-fi horror, or is that just like a dark sci-fi?
Hmm.
He definitely goes through it. I mean, there's a lot of similarities in between that and The Fly, in that it's not as much body horror, but he does go through a transformation where he ultimately is changing into kind of a monster in a way. But
It's a movie I need to see again because it's been so long since I've watched it. But I would say with Scanners, there is certainly some sci-fi to it just because of some of the someone having, I guess another thing that could consider science fiction is someone has some sort of
Because it was a level of telekinesis, wasn't it?
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
which
When
is
you said
partially
altered
almost
states,
like Firestarter in a way.
yeah. When you said altered states, I I got confused. I wasn't thinking about altered states. I was thinking about the Fury because the Fury reminds me of scanners.
oh, okay, I
Yeah.
got you.
I had to Google it real quick. So I'm like, wait, that's not what I'm thinking of. But
Yeah,
yeah. But anything in that telekinesis, um,
when it's
you
caused by
know,
prescription
yeah,
medication, right? Like it
yeah.
during pregnancy, so which ties into the science. So
Mhm. Mhm. I don't remember altered states. I had to rewatch that. I don't remember. I don't remember the premise of that. But there's a ton of telekinesis, like the Dead Zone and Firestarter. You said, yeah,
Yeah, Dead Zone. That's another Cronenberg film
yeah.
too.
Hmm.
have you all ever seen the Toby Hooper movie with Brad Dourif called Spontaneous Combustion? That is
No.
a parents experimented on while pregnant, and then, but instead of being a scanner or a fire, well, he is a fire starter in a way, in that Brad Dourif's the main character, and he, as an adult, he just will spontaneously combust, and so it's kind of like fire starter for a grown man, I guess, in a way. And
No.
it's not a great movie. It's worth seeing it to see Brad Dourif in like a hero lead role.
Okay.
But
On
and
Trusty
it,
Tubi.
yeah, I guarantee you it's
Always
on
on
Tubi.
Tubi.
Yeah,
On Tubi.
but it's I think it's Toby Hooper. I think Toby Hooper directed that one.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
again, not a great movie, but it's a fun one time watch. So I think
Okay. I've never heard of this one. Okay.
every hardcore horror fan needs to check it out for sure.
Well,
So
how would y'all classify like something like The Substance?
I was just thinking about that too because that's definitely heavy on the body horror. Once again, that's kind of like one that
Yeah.
involves a scientific experiment basically
Science, yeah.
gone wrong.
Yeah.
So I
yeah,
guess
Yeah.
that would also fall into
I,
sci-fi
I
horror.
was
100%.
thinking about the substance, but I was like, I don't know if that qualifies as sci-fi, even though it has like weird experimenting and all of that.
I don't know.
I would count it. I would count it for sure.
I would,
It
yeah.
kind of gets in there. That's the thing. There's another subgenre that kind of blends right into sci-fi horror, and that's body horror. It's like depending on the circumstances of the body horror, if it's brought about by some sort of virus mutation, some sort of act of science or so forth, I guess that would qualify. And that's another great director I want to see more things from. Coraline Forgo. I always feel like I'm going to mispronounce her name, but I want to see more stuff from her as well as Brandon Cronenberg. So, but Substance, that's another good one too.
Have you seen The Show? Or Shell? Just Shell? With Elizabeth Moss and Kate Hudson. If you like The Substance, you'll like that. It's very similar, and it's also has elements of The Fly. But it's something I just stumbled upon, and I said, "Oh, I like those two actresses. Let me take a look at it." And it was entertaining, but it definitely is Substance / The Fly.
And that's called The Shell.
I think it's just Shell by itself.
Okay. Well, I'm sure I can find that since
when we were talking about body horror.
Yeah, just Shell.
Just, I think what makes body horror just so great is you go back to the loss of autonomy, and I think that's almost a universal fear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like being sucked into consciously being sucked into a hive mind, like the Borg, and then you have the painful, what almost industrial like, was it stratification out of Quake? It just, to me, that is like one of the most ultimate fears, is that, when especially when you're going through the assimilation process, it's like you're conscious the whole time, and you see everything and you feel everything that's going on while you're doing assimilation, while you're in the middle of stratification. To me, I think that's what makes body horror just almost like a perfect genre in a way, because, like I said, you're consciously feeling everything. It's not like you go to sleep, you wake up, and you're assimilated. Like that. Again, I think that's what really even makes the Borg the most frightening in Star Trek, is especially when you could feel the tubes being put in you and the nanobots working inside your body. It's nightmare fuel to me.
Yeah. Well, even just aging, right?
Well, I think with body horror too, it's the most relatable thing because obviously we all have bodies. So when something crazy like that happens, we're like, "Ooh, what would that feel like if that happened to me?" type of thing.
The one thing I can't believe I didn't think about this one until just now, but it relates to body horror and sci-fi in general. I have no mouth, but I must scream.
God,
is like one of the best sci-fi horrors, really.
I've not seen that one.
What is? Me neither have I. What's that?
Well, it's more of a short story, and it's a video game from like the 90s.
Oh,
I think.
okay.
Oh, okay.
That's why I haven't heard of it.
But it's about AM, which is a supercomputer that it basically destroys the entire world other than like four or five people. And it eternally just tortures them for entertainment because it hates humanity so much. Until the last one left, who he turns into a like blob slime thing. But he still is completely conscious, but he has no mouth. So he must scream. That's where the title comes from. But it's horrifying. And before that, he and the others basically kill each other or themselves just to put themselves out of their misery, basically.
Sounds
Yeah, that does
I
sound.
gotta read it. Yeah, hold it up.
Yeah.
I think
like a
there's
good story.
some audio versions of it on YouTube.
BBC Radio 4 did a radio play of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a game based off a short story or a book? Okay.
There is a game.
Cool.
It's like a pixel game,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
That would bring up a good question right there. where would we put a lot of post-apocalyptic movies?
That's a good question.
Well, some of them, well, yeah, that's a tough one because I would think of like immediately I think of any of the Mad Max movies. I wouldn't think of those as horror, but they do blend into sci-fi a little bit. Because once again, you're talking about something in the future.
Well, this isn't
Even
this
though it's a situation where technology hasn't advanced, it's gone the other way because, blew each other up. So,
I was thinking more on the line of something like The Day After or Threads. Because I mean, there's a lot of horror elements, like, and I know there's a lot of cutscenes in The Day After, especially the one where the doctor goes back to his homestead, and his wife is there as a charred skeleton. I mean, but you're watching, like, for me, watching a lot of those people die of radiation sickness. It And I mean, it Threads was the same way. Everybody, becomes mute. It Threads to me almost felt Silent Hill ish in a way.
Yeah.
right.
Everybody's, the shock of the nuclear war happening. Nobody's speaking for 20 something years. Both of those movies featured somebody who basically gave birth to a deformed baby because of that. I think in The Day After, what was it? The daughter had run out into the yard too early and started bleeding from everywhere. To me, those two movies in particular, I don't know if I want to put them in a horror because they weren't intended to be horror movies, but at the same time, they kind of feel psychological horror-ish.
A little bit.
Definitely horrific.
Yeah, definitely horrific.
Well, you could definitely have some horrific. Well, it's like the original Planet of the Apes. 90% of that movie is just basically a sci-fi movie until the last, very, very last scene, and then it becomes a horror film. Kind of. At least that scene where he discovers that the planet he's been on this whole time has been Earth.
Yes.
The whole time, just
think-
that they nuked each other.
Like post-apocalyptic can be sci-fi, but I almost think it's such a strong like subgenre within itself. I think of it as like its own separate, like, there's like, for an example, this isn't horror, but Escape from New York. Do you consider that sci-fi, even though it's kind of a post-apocalyptic?
Yeah, definitely sci-fi for sure.
Yeah, like that, right? Like, so, but something that's like so embedded in a post-apocalyptic narrative, like I think of Mad Max as just like post-apocalyptic is the major genre that kind of smothers the sci-fi part of it or whatever. But again, I think it definitely is connected, excuse me, with sci-fi and horror. I mean, there's things in. I know if Road Warrior was happening to me, it would be pretty horrific. So it's definitely, it would suck, right? So,
So which one of us is going to be half naked with the guitar in the front of the car? I mean,
what are they called? What's that character? The Doof or something like that? I can't remember. But yeah,
it's like,
Josh, you can have that role, man. So,
What's that?
the naked guitar guy. So on the front.
20 years ago, maybe. But
Yeah. Aged out of it.
yeah, I've aged out of that.
I got you.
Well, I shouldn't say. I mean, Demi Moore was 60 years old when she did those scenes in The Substance, but trust me, I do not look like Demi Moore, so it's not going to happen. Oh, boy. Well, let's get this one out of the way. We touched on it a little bit earlier. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Perfect movie.
Yeah.
it is.
Perfect.
It's so great.
Second favorite movie of all time.
Yeah. There is a like expansive documentary. I don't know if y'all have ever watched the In Search of Darkness movies.
Yes.
Yep.
The documentaries? Okay.
Yep.
So they did one on The Thing that they're shipping. Like, I will hopefully get my copy pretty soon, but it's like a 5 or 6 hour documentary just on The Thing.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Yeah, and they've done one on aliens, and then they just did The Thing, and then they're doing Jaws next. But it's the
Oh,
same
nice.
company. It's the same company
Okay.
that does the In Search of Darkness movies.
Do you get it off their website? Like, do you buy it like off of Amazon or off their website?
So
Or?
well, so I did it through being a backer, like a
Okay.
Kickstarter.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
pay your 75, $100, and that gets you a Blu-ray and some other stuff to go
Yeah.
with it. You can get your name in the credits and that kind of thing as a
Mm-hmm.
producer. But eventually, I don't know if yet, but eventually you can buy it just off their website,
Okay.
where they'll sell it without the backer ship.
Mm-hmm.
But I know with like In Search of Darkness, because they just had the '90s
Mm-hmm.
versions come out,
Mm-hmm.
and they go pretty straight to Shudder and Amazon Prime pretty quickly. So
Yeah, they
I would
do.
say The Thing will probably hit Shudder. All of their documentaries seem to go there. So and they have one called, instead of In Search of Darkness, it was called In Search of Tomorrow, which was all '80s sci-fi movies. And so you
Oh,
had the
really?
overlap, but it was
Mm-hmm.
specifically sci-fi. And then they steered back into the horror, but yeah. So this is I can't wait to watch it. I mean, it is like, and it's got everybody, all of the living cast, Kurt Russell, John Carpenter, everybody is going to be in this, and I mean, it's just going to be a treasure chest for Thing fans. So anyway,
Nice.
Looking
yeah.
forward to that. That should be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
me
Too bad,
too.
too bad Wilford Brimley's not still with us, but
No,
'cause I love
You know
that
what's
scene where
crazy?
he just goes crazy and just starts shooting up the place and
That's the
destroying
Quaker
everything.
Oats guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
The guy
And
from
here's what's even crazier, Kimberly.
I
That
just aged
guy.
myself by saying that, but that's okay.
No, I'm with you. But what's even funnier, Wilford Brimley, when he played that role, was 49 years old.
Are you serious?
he looks 68.
Yeah, he
I
was
know.
70.
That's crazy.
So in other words, he was younger than me and you
That
were.
is hilarious.
You know he was born
Well,
that
Gen X, we
That's
have
right.
that age. We slow age,
Yeah.
age slowly. We have that X chromosome.
Guys just aged different back then, man. Tommy
They
Lee Jones
did.
and those guys, they looked 40 when they were, 25.
22.
Yeah.
I know.
For sure.
Like the actor, just getting out of horror, but I always think of Abe Vigoda. Of course, was in the show Barney Miller, which I'm really aging myself, but also was in the original Godfather and plenty of other movies. I think that guy was born 65 years old. 'Cause
Too funny.
Skylar's like, who is Abe Vigoda?
Skylar's like, I'm checked out on this one.
But I'm
I
sure
knew the
Skylar.
other people. I did not know
Okay.
that one.
He was. I can't remember whatever we said. But Skylar, what was your thoughts on seeing the first time you saw the thing?
Obviously, the sci-fi horror aspect, but for me, I think the biggest aspect for me is like the loneliness of like how the Antarctica just being nothing and one of the biggest
Mhm.
deserts in the world. The concept of being locked there with some weird alien demon, whatever the thing is. No.
Yeah.
I would have just offed myself at that point. Like, I'm good.
I think one of the characters does. It's off screen, but I think one of the characters does once he like worried that he's been infected and he ends up like burning himself. I think I forget which character it was, but so he was with you right there. But
Yeah, because I mean, at that point, even like the ending of it is kind of, what do we do? I don't know if you're gonna kill me or what. There's really no happy ending at that point.
no, and of course it's been that ending that people have discussed for decades now. Well, who was the thing? Was Kurt Russell the thing? Was
Yeah.
his character the thing? Was Keith David's character the thing? Was either of them the thing? And really, the thing the whole time was not necessarily the creature, but the paranoia was
Yeah.
the thing the whole time. And I think I can't remember, someone wrote about that recently, and I'm like, yeah, that's spot on correct. So,
You got to think about that when the thing came out. I mean, like, we're at the height of the Cold War. and
Yeah.
it really was supposed to be a message about the the paranoia that we had even with our neighbors. It's like, hey, is my neighbor a commie? It's like,
For real.
Well, yeah, that was a real thing. I mean, just like, because we were like
that's,
wondering if they were going to go to nuclear war or what have you, and
and
so
that's the
it
funny
was
thing
a
about the day.
real.
Did y'all know this about the day after that NATO was doing an exercise in the Mediterranean that was to mock all out nuclear war. The day that the day after was going to be shown on television, and somebody forgot to inform the Russians that we were
Oh
doing that,
gosh,
Oh.
and we damn near had a nuclear war.
Oh.
Damn.
that would have been for real.
I
Well,
know.
of course, the thing about the thing is the thing about the thing. It flopped in the theaters. It did not do well at
Yeah.
all, and was destroyed by about every critic.
Siskel and Ebert,
And
man, they massacred that movie.
That's
oh well,
that's
he
where
massacred.
my hate of Roger Ebert
Yeah.
really became
We had
strong.
this discussion once
Not
about
aware.
how Ebert was so interested. There were movies you would never. There were like certain horror movies that he loved. Like he loved the original Halloween. He hated Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but loved Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects. So
Yeah.
make that
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah.
I was going to say, 'cause that makes sense.
Yeah,
Even his positive review of The Exorcist was pretty backhanded in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
yeah,
Horror
I'm sure.
and comedy, he just did not. Those guys were just not.
Yeah, they were not hungry.
They're just not on it, really.
Yeah.
They're so, of course, critics like that would be so irrelevant today
Hmm.
because now people get, they get their reviews or whatever on YouTube, on Substack, and places like that, and you're getting them from actual, real
They're-
movie fans. Not to say they're not movie fans, but they have a certain
Yeah.
No, you're 100% right.
snobbery about it, I guess.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
think it's on Thursday. There's a show on NPR that I listen to when I'm coming home, and they do their movie day, and it's nothing. It's now nothing but Substackers that they bring on.
Oh wow.
Oh wow,
Wow.
cool.
A lot of them, to be fair, a lot of those guys were fired from the New York Times, but but I mean now,
Well-
I mean you're right. It's Substackers, it's YouTubers. So now we don't have to sit through 15 minutes of 3 or 4 rom-coms that they just gush over about. Oh my god, it's the greatest movie ever made. Just so we can get our 30 seconds of, oh god, it's hard. I need to go puke.
Right.
But in a way, I kind of miss those shows. Like to me, those were my original rage bait shows.
Well, those, yeah, I mean, they served their purpose back then. They were kind of entertaining in a way, but it's like, as soon as you already knew what they were going to say when the latest Friday the 13th movie came out. It's horrible. All it is this, and that, and they always miss the general point of the movies themselves, which you would think them being fairly, I would think, smart people, they probably went to journalism school, would understand the well, certainly like the feminist angle. You'd think they would
Right.
get that.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
if 15-year-old Josh could figure it out, why the hell couldn't they? But
Man, the shittiest thing that I think it was Gene Siskel that did it. So when Silent Night, Deadly Night came out in like 80, what was it like 80,
84, I think.
84, 80, yeah. So they, of course, just hated that movie. And was so upset by it that they somehow were able to get the director's address and gave it to fans.
I heard about that.
Yeah, like gave it out for them to write letters or call him or whatever to complain about it. And the level of shitty pettiness of that is just
Yeah, no kidding.
What?
it's unethical. To me, it's unethical of them as critics and
Oh,
journalists.
yeah.
And things like that. It was very terrible. But yeah, they just hated. And there's just no way you can watch The Thing, because The Thing is the greatest sci-fi horror film ever made. The
Yeah.
closest that maybe you could argue is just as good or better as Alien. that we'll talk about. But for me, The Thing even is like it's just above and beyond. I think Carpenter made the best sci-fi horror film of all time in that.
Yeah.
And you just the fact that, and I realized that came out to whoever made the point earlier about The Thing and Blade Runner coming out really at the same time as ET, and it's like everybody swarmed to like the warmth of ET and the cold bleakness of Blade Runner and Carpenter's The Thing. People just kind of like rejected that. And it's like they didn't reject these movies necessarily because they were like bad films, but it's because of just like maybe they just came out, they're like they're ahead of their time or whatever. And I mean, E.T. is just as important as a movie as Blade Runner and The Thing. But do we talk about E.T. as much as people talk about The Thing now? I don't know, but it is just there's just no way that you can objectively watch The Thing and say this is a bad movie. So when you see those critical takes from the '80s on it, that it's just like this gore fest with no soul and all these things, it's just not true, really.
I sometimes wonder if they even bothered watching the movie.
Well, and you get so many critics that write on horror films that aren't fans of, like, they'll tell you up front, I don't like horror films, and then then they go on to just shit all over it, and it's like, okay, I don't really care what you have to say about it because you're not even a fan of this genre at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if I see a non-horror fan that actually speaks highly of a horror film, I'm like, okay, this must be probably pretty good. But at the same time, like, and I understand there's horror critics out there that are just like love everything, right? Like they just and they'll love stuff that I just don't. I'm like, I think that was a pretty bad movie. So there's a balance, but at the same time, it's like, yes, like Ebert's not going to give a more objective review on The Thing because he struggled with just liking horror movies in general. Like you said, Halloween is one of the few that he actually championed. And he wasn't even 100% sold on The Exorcist, which to me is the greatest horror film ever made. And it's just insane. But the fact that like they were so dismissive of The Thing at the time, and how Carpenter really suffered from that, in a lot of ways, which I wish that he had more success from it. But if he did have more success with The Thing, I don't know if we would have got Christine and They Live and some of these others, Prince of Darkness. I don't know if those things happen. So, it is. He did okay regardless.
Yeah, he ended up doing pretty good.
And what a way to just like all these years later. That's his masterpiece, and at the time he probably wanted to distance himself from it, and now there's 6-hour documentaries being made about it.
Exactly.
And it's many people's favorite film. Some people consider it the best horror film of all time, and so he's just to be able to say kind of fuck you to everybody back then, just like, is pretty. And Carpenter's definitely a guy, from what I understand, that will easily say fuck you to somebody. So
and has.
and has. Yeah.
It's my dream for John Carpenter to say it to me. Like, yes.
Has anyone met him on this?
No.
No, I haven't.
My daughter and I were supposed to meet him. We drove specifically to Richmond, Virginia to see him at a convention, and we planned a trip around it to do other things. Like we went to the Edgar Allan Poe Museum and this other stuff.
Okay, cool.
But we found out at the coffee shop that morning on the way to the convention that he had to cancel due to like a flight issue.
Oh no.
And so we didn't get to see him. And I'm in southern Kentucky, so and he's I'm literally from the town that he's from. So
wow.
And so like in Halloween, there's like all the street names and all this stuff. And I've probably talked about this before, but like Warren County and Smiths Grove Sanitarium, all that comes from where I'm from. Those are real places and things. Not the sanitarium, that's fake, but there's a real Smiths Grove and all that.
Okay, cool.
And so, but the fact that like we haven't ever got to meet him, and he hasn't really come to Kentucky in any capacity in the last decade at least. He's like that bucket list guy that I want to meet, that like I've got to see Stephen King, I've got to see some of these other guys, but I'm just like, Carpenter, hold on, man, I want to see you somewhere at some point sometime. So, because he's just like favorite director of all time and all that.
Yeah.
But,
knowing him, he could be living next door to you right now, and you don't even know he's probably in disguise.
Yeah,
That would be something Carpenter would do.
His mom, or I'm sorry, his dad was my mom's music professor in college.
Oh
So he's,
wow.
yeah, so
Huh.
his dad was a music professor at the university here. And so,
That
and I,
explains why he composes a lot of his films.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So, and I think I mean, he's not, I don't think John Carpenter's classically trained necessarily. I think he just is, plays by ear, but
You'll have to tell me if when you watch the documentary because I think that snippet of music, like when if you were to ask a horror fan or non-horror fan, like what's your most memorable music sequence from a movie, they'll say the Jaws. But to me, that music sequence of it's very actually very similar to Jaws,
yeah.
but that music in the thing is I mean it's like it gives 90% the dread and the tension and the loneliness and the
Oh yeah.
anxiety. I mean, so I'll be interested to see if they talk about that in the documentary because that music is just so phenomenal.
I
That
can't
those
imagine
two little bars, you know.
I can't imagine that it's not mentioned. Yeah, because like
Hmm.
he hired Enrico Morricone, who did like a lot of the Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns. He's like this masterful
Oh,
composer. He hired him to do score, but then ultimately, before it was all over with, he just ultimately did his Carpenter,
That's crazy.
synthesizer through the majority of it. And as much as Morricone's amazing, Carpenter just like I don't want a Carpenter movie without the Carpenter score
Yeah.
with the synth
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that kind of droning
Hmm.
ambient beats or whatever. So,
Hmm.
uh, but yeah. But anyway, it's just for me. I mean, like no, everybody said everything they could on the thing. It's just the best. There's just
Hmm.
nothing better than it. So
Yeah.
Funny story about the thing is, and you're right. I think it was bad timing them releasing that movie in the summer. Like, had they released it either early in the year, like in the winter time, or
Hmm.
around Christmas time, maybe Thanksgiving time,
mm,
I think it would have done better. But I just remember going to the theater. I was 8 years old, and my mom was going to take me and my brother, who's I don't know, maybe 4 at the time, to go see E.T. But I saw the picture of the thing. Goes, can we see that instead? And my mom's like, no, your brother's too young to see it. Well, can I go in? No, you're not old enough yet. But I remember wanting to see that instead of E.T. and I probably would have enjoyed it more than E.T.
and
But
yeah,
I mean, if there's ever an anti ET or the opposite, just anti ET movie, you just
that would
don't get
be it.
any bleaker than the thing. I mean, I guess you can, but like that ending is just perfectly ambiguously bleak.
Hmm.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
and to be honest, the thing is also a masterclass to me in practical effects.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
oh
I
yes.
don't think practical effects get any better, at least in the U.S. than the thing.
No. Yeah. So good.
Yeah, I mean, Botine for that, and then probably Baker for American Werewolf. That's like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pinnacle between those two guys or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree. I mean, you just like he pulls off. I saw the thing in I got to see it in the theater a couple years ago for the first time. Like I mean, I've seen it 100 times, but on the actual big screen for the
Oh
first
wow.
time.
Oh, I would
And
love to do that.
just
I've never seen it in a big screen before. Huh.
yeah, so they had an anniversary, the Regal Cinema chain, and so I got to see like 3 or 4 Carpenter movies on the big
Oh,
screen
that'd
that
be
year.
cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so like it was cool as hell, like it was a packed house, which was amazing to see the thing getting that much support. People of all ages, people bringing their kids. I had my daughters with me, and it holds up so well on the big
Hmm.
screen. People literally scared in it, and it looked just beautiful.
Oh
Like the
man, I'm gonna
special
have to.
effects looked there's not one time where I was like that looked wonky or that was janky or anything. I mean, it was just exquisite special effects and genuinely just scary. I mean, when that head comes off and the spider legs come out of it and all that stuff, like it's just I'm like I watched it and was like, how in the fuck did he do that? You know what I mean? Like how
Yeah.
did he pull that off? And it's just it's perfection,
It
really.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. If you get a chance to see it on the big screen, it was
I'm
one of my
googling it
favorite
to
theater
see.
experiences
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I would love to see that in the big screen. Would be terrific.
Yeah.
So, If I only go back in
We
time.
gotta wait for the 50th anniversary. The 40th anniversary was in 2022.
So we got a few more years to the
So
50th.
it's been
So
2022. Okay. Yeah.
it'll be here before we know it.
Yep.
I got to see that. They Live, Christine, and was it Halloween? I got to see those like all in the same.
Oh, that is cool.
It was awesome.
Wow.
So,
I need a. In my area, they haven't really been doing like a lot of anniversary. The only one I got to see so far was Friday the 13th on the big screen. So I need to
that would have been good.
I need to keep on and see what else is coming out.
That would be cool.
Sometimes they don't advertise like they used to. You just have to you have to go basically to their website to see what's going on.
I know too. They sometimes during the Halloween season will play some classics. So
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, usually I don't know if you have Regals near you, but they'll play quite a few Halloween Halloween specifically, but like a lot of really good horror movies around the time. So
yeah, I need to look into Regal more.
I have a Cinemark near me, and that's about all we have here.
Yeah.
And they oftentimes will show like either like on Tuesday or Thursdays they will show some older movie. Sometimes a little bit more, because I remember it was a little over a year ago or so that went and saw Hellraiser. They were showing it, and I'm like, that's the one I didn't see in the theater, because I saw 2, 3, and 4 in the theater. And then last October, my wife's a huge Rocky Horror Picture Show fan, so we went and they were playing it, so we went and saw it. Very cool. No, I did not dress up like Dr. Frankenfurter.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're right. The Thing is number one. Even though Alien is close number 2, it can, in my opinion, it can't surpass The Thing.
Well, both those movies are easily top 10 in I think most people's top 10, if not top 5. So let's get to Alien. Once again, it was basically Halloween in space, essentially. In a lot of ways, that's the way I think they kind of pitched it anyway. And I can barely remember it coming out, and I didn't see it till, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years after that. But
that was 79, right? I think it
came out in 79, so I was about 5 when it came out. But I think it had like the best cast of characters I think that you could have. Because I'll say this, and maybe I'll write something on this one day. It's almost like each character represented about someone you would know in the corporate world. You have, and let's be honest, Ripley at the beginning is that by the book supervisor snob that you really don't want to be around. Okay. Even though in the end she's like all about the company until she finds out the company's screwing you. Dallas is basically your go along, get along type of guy who just wants to get things done and just doesn't care how it gets done, and he'll break a few rules to do it.
Ash wants to retirement mode.
Yes. Ash is basically the corporate stooge, the person that's going to tattletale to the bosses that you're not doing things the right way. Lambert is basically the office temp with a bad attitude who's just there to punch in, punch out, go home, get drunk, come back the next day. She wants to do the bare minimum.
Quitting.
Yeah, exactly. And then basically the characters of Brett and Parker are your union workers, your ones that are who knows the game. They know they're going to screw them over on the money, so they're going to bitch about it as much as possible. So
everybody knows those guys.
And by the way, the xenomorphs are definitely upper management.
Exactly. They're basically corporates putting profits over their employees. Essentially, is what you could say the movie's about in a way.
Let me ask you this. Okay. Battle of the Crews. The crew in The Thing versus the crew in Alien. Do you think who's the better crew? Like the acting, who you connect with? Do you feel like it's pretty similar? Is it?
Well, that's a tough
Both are
one.
pretty. Both are pretty amazing. And I have
Yeah.
to shout out an Alien. Harry Dean Stanton is one of like my top 2 or 3 favorite actors. He's the guy with the cat, Jonesy.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Like
yeah.
Brett.
Fellow Kentuckian, grew up a couple hours from me. So yeah,
Harry Dean Stanton's another guy that if he's in a movie, it automatically goes up a point
Yeah,
because he was
yeah.
also in Christine as well.
big
He played,
yeah. Big. He was in Escape from New York. He's in a couple Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was in David
Yeah.
Lynch, a few David Lynch movies. So definitely
He's a good
horror
actor.
horror guy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I like the crew from The Thing.
okay,
I,
I'd probably go
might-
that.
boy, I can't choose. You're asking me to choose between my kids.
Is this
Well,
a-
I can choose between my kids, but I can't choose between the Alien crew and the Thing crew.
You can choose your
I
kids
might
early.
go with- It's hard to say because both are amazing casts. I think
Yeah.
Alien probably has their cast. The actors probably have a little bit more name recognition overall from top to bottom.
But if you were to
Probably
ask me the cast from Aliens versus The Thing, then I'm going to go with Aliens.
Alien.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were talking about Aliens.
No. I was talking about Alien.
Okay.
But Aliens, yeah, another great
Yeah,
cast.
that cast to me is better than The Thing.
Okay.
I misunderstood the question and thought you meant in like a battle.
Oh, like fight.
And I
I'm
was
sorry.
like, unfortunately, I think the crew in The Thing loses because they're so paranoid of everything. They're too traumatized.
Absolutely, yeah. But no, I just mean like as far as your preference. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, kudos to both movies and the casting for both of it, because you also had in Alien, I'm going to mispronounce his name, but I think it's Yaphet Kotto, who actually played a Bond villain in Live and Let Die.
So he's in the Running Man. He was in the Running Man.
That's right.
Schwarzenegger.
He's also
Yeah.
the Running Man.
That's another movie I was going to ask about. Like, would y'all put that in like the sci-fi horror genre too?
I would maybe the book, the movie. I think of more just sci-fi action, but
Yeah.
but the book is more straight. I mean, I wouldn't call the book straightforward horror, but it's not an action movie like they keep wanting to like retell it as that. You know, for anybody who maybe hasn't read it, it's
I've read it. It was like the first King book I actually read, I think, was
Oh, wow.
The Running Man.
Really good.
Yeah. really good.
And I was amazed, like, well, this didn't happen in the movie. This is before, I was still young and didn't realize that oftentimes the movies differ quite a bit from the book and vice versa. I'm like, well, the bare bones of it's about the same, but other than that, it's like way different from the movie.
Absolutely.
I haven't seen the new version of the movie, so I don't know if it's any good or
I
not.
refuse to watch the new version of the movie because if
Oh,
it
it's
ain't
horrible.
Richard Dawson doing that scene, I'm sorry, there is nobody better.
No,
Well,
agreed.
Richard is dead, though. I can't bring his corpse back.
Yeah.
Well, I was, I mean, with Alien, just swinging back to that, like Sigourney Weaver and Ripley just transcends even the movies, really, right?
Oh,
like, and to speak to Kimberly, I mean, do you consider her a final girl?
Oh,
Or
for
she
sure.
more- okay,
Top
yeah.
3.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, be in my top 3 for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah. So I mean, I mean, as far as like not just a strong character, strong female, just strong character in general, but also like just at a time when I don't know that you really saw like a female actor get to flex like that in a role, because I think it was originally written for a man, right? That the Ripley character maybe, and then they gender swapped
retconned it.
it.
Yeah, they retconned it a little bit in the movie because there's one little bit of the movie where you find out about Ripley's background and you find out that Ripley's transgender.
Really,
Really?
Really?
Oh, what? Really?
Oh.
really
So
I did not know
I think
that.
that was the retcon.
Huh.
interesting. Okay.
I would,
I'm gonna
yeah,
have to
that
Google
is
that. I'm
an
gonna
interesting
research that.
fact. Thing too about Alien is the way it subverts your expectation at the very beginning, because the very first character you meet, who wakes up first, is the character of Kane, played by John Hurt. automatically you're gonna be thinking to yourself, "Oh, this is the character I'm going to be following throughout the movie,"
Yeah.
and he's the first one that dies. So,
Yeah.
which I thought was, I wonder if that was done on purpose by Ridley Scott to have him be the first one to wake up and the first one that we kind of get to know a little bit.
He Janet lead us.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Psycho.
Yep.
Oh,
And I for sure thought Tom Skerritt, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because he was probably at that time probably the most well-known actor on the
Yeah.
cast.
In the bunch. Yeah.
Because he had done a few movies. Oh, what's that one with Burt Reynolds he was in?
Yeah.
I just always think of him from that show Picket Fences. I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember that from
Yeah.
the
Does
90s.
a ton of non-horror, but he was
low-key good show.
popular.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to correct myself. It wasn't Ripley.
Oh, really?
Yep, Joan. Joan was the one. Like, canonically, Joan is transgender. I think
Okay.
that. Yeah, and I think a lot of people got that confused. I know I did for a little bit.
Okay.
And both of those movies, it and The Thing, have like two of the great jump scares. Like that, the scene where Tom Skerritt, I think his character's name's Dallas,
Yes.
where he's in like the air duct chute, and then that's when you see the xenomorph kind of pop out. It's one of the first times you see it. That might be the first time you actually like truly get a shot of it.
I think so. I think you get a brief shot before he abducts Brett.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Brett goes missing. Yeah, brief shot, but that's really, you're right, when when Dallas is in the little
The airlock, yeah.
tunnels or air docks, and this comes out of nowhere. And of course, that whole build-up's terrific because
phenomenal.
Lambert's on there telling it's there, there,
Yeah.
and he can't
Yeah.
see anything, and you can tell he's starting to get scared shitless
Yep.
because.
Yeah.
And
And
I think
shout
that's
out-
the first movie I've seen that introduced that concept of the beep, beep, beep,
Mhm.
beep, 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 beep. Like it is getting closer. Like I think, at least in my memory, that's like the first movie that really introduces that whole scary phenomenon. Which is still
Yeah, it's like
so
the
scary.
shark, right? Donna.
Yeah.
Donna,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
like with sci-fi technology, kind of really.
Yep.
So. Yeah, and shout out to Ripley too for going back for the cat. I totally would have done that.
Well,
Absolutely would have gone back for that cat all day long. So
Jonesy, yeah.
total respect. So
Yeah.
Has anyone seen like the actual uncut director's cut of Alien?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so
I think so.
there is that scene where Ripley's trying to get back, and it's almost like both Dallas and I think Brett are cocooned at that point, and Dallas tells her to kill him, and that's when she does the flamethrower.
Yep.
But there's also a scene that I find interesting where it's right after where Ripley was refusing to let them back in the ship, and of course they get left back in, and there's a scene between where her and Lambert get into it, where Lambert just comes right up into her face and I think punches her, and they took that out of the original. I thought that like added some context about how these two differ from one another. One gets overly frantic while the other one always stays in control.
So annoying. Oh.
Yeah. And of course, she would go on to voice Bart Simpson for
Yeah.
what, 40 years now.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
That's right. One, two, just the reveal that not Bishop, that's Lance Henderson. Is Ash. Yeah, is a cyborg. You know, robot.
Yeah, I don't think anyone saw that coming. I remember the first time watching that, and I think it's Parker hits him in the head with that pipe or something. His
Oh,
head goes
yeah,
boom.
yeah.
I thought, God, did he just knock that guy's head off? Oh, it's a robot. Okay.
Yeah. When he put that magazine in Sigourney Weaver's mouth, I had never seen anything like that before, and that was so scary. And I'm like, what is he doing to her? And I think my sister was like, he's choking her, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? It was so scary.
I think that scene can be. I think that scene of him rolling up the
rolling up the
unit,
magazine.
Yeah, I think it's like can be seen as like a rape.
Yeah,
as far as
yeah.
like because that's the only way that he can do that, right? Is with an object, so
Yeah.
which is just pretty scary. And then we haven't even mentioned the iconic, the big scene.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
the chest burster scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't got there yet. So
I
I
would
don't
have.
know. Those noodles they were eating looked really good. So I remember like they were eating all like I'm like, oh, that food looks really good, and just started choking. It was so weird when I first
I
saw it.
liked how that. I mean, could you imagine being in the theater watching that for the first time? I bet you. I wonder how many people flew off their seats to
I
that scene.
Oh man.
uh-huh. If I could go back in time and be a fly on a wall of a theater experience, it would be that and The Exorcist. To just see how people respond in real time
Oh
back when it
yeah.
first came out. It would be priceless. Priceless to like,
Absolutely.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Still birthed that the chest burster scene. Still birthed one of the greatest parodies of all time in Spaceballs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was just going to mention in Spaceballs, and what's even cooler, John Hurt came back
Yes.
to do that scene because when it busts out, he goes, "Oh no, not again!"
You know what I think makes? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
And I was
Kim.
gonna say, and the thing about it, they were gonna kill it, and they stopped them from killing with the fork. And but you wouldn't have a movie, you know, if you killed it. So
Right. But then, of course, it would have bled all over whoever stabbed it,
Yeah.
and they would have lost their hand. But still, okay, I lose a limb, but in the process, we save everyone. I think that's a
Yeah.
good trade-off. I'll give up my right hand or
Yeah.
left hand.
yeah. But I will say, like, how many of you have seen like the entire Alien franchise, like all of them, even the Prometheus, like all of them?
Not
yeah, I
Romulus.
have.
I haven't seen the most recent one, so.
I
No.
like every single movie in the entire franchise, even the
You
one
watched
with
the show?
Winona Ryder. Like I
I
love
love that one.
all of
Yeah.
them.
Have you watched the show that came on?
Oh
Hulu?
wait, okay, I take it back.
I was
I
gonna say.
do not love the Hulu whatever that just came out. Horrible in my opinion.
Okay, you do not like. Okay, I haven't.
No.
I've only watched a couple episodes, so.
I think it was such a disgrace to the entire franchise.
Is that the only thing I've seen from the Alien show? Is that like there's a hologram of Sid the Sloth from Ice Age in it?
Okay.
Like that's a real thing in the show.
Really?
Horrible.
It just feels more like a Blade Runner show than an Alien.
It is
Oh,
horrible.
I wouldn't even go that far with it. It's
It's bad.
I only saw the first 4 episodes, and after that, I'm like, I'm tapping out. I can't.
Yeah, it's.
I can't
I
anymore.
mean, do you guys ever remember the alien ever being like 5 foot, 4 foot? Like, no, it's like 7, 8 feet tall. Like,
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
The Disneyfication of Alien.
Yeah.
I think a big part of what makes Alien so scary is obviously the creature design of Xenomorph, which was by H.R. Giger. I'm not entirely sure how you
think it's
pronounce the
Giger.
name.
It's actually
Giger?
it's Jaeger actually because I know.
And I
It's,
think
Oh, is
he's I think he's Swiss, so it probably is.
yes,
pronounced.
Swiss.
But as like an artist myself, that's like one of the creatures I will always study when it comes to like creature design because it's disturbing but also weirdly beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. Oh my god.
I think there's also a cafe or a restaurant or something like that that's actually designed based on his artwork, which is really
Oh
cool.
wow.
I want to
Really?
go to that's the one thing I want to do if I ever get a chance to get over to Europe. I want to go to his museum.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You're right. Those Jaeger pieces are just stunning as hell.
And even in the Predator
Yeah.
versus Alien, I mean, they stay so true to the xenomorphs and even those movies. And I don't think those movies get enough credit. I mean, those movies are even better than the FX Alien, the Hulu Alien show.
Yes.
Well, I'll agree with you there. I wasn't as big of a fan of the Predator versus Alien movie or AVP movies, but I'll give you that. I will watch them over the show any day without question.
I always think of in Mortal Kombat 10, they had Predator and the Xenomorph as guest characters, so you could actually do Predator versus Alien fights.
That's cool. And Lance Hendrickson was in. So he was in the Predator. Or I'm sorry, he was in the Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
He was in Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 different characters, and then he was in Terminator. So
Yeah.
he was one of the
Wow.
cops. So he's been in all those. Yeah.
And so was Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
He was in the first Terminator. He's one of the biker dudes that gets killed by Arnold. He, of course, was killed by a xenomorph. and killed by a predator in Predator 2. So
Yep. That's such a good point. Yeah. Oh, I loved him in Predator Part 2. Loved him in Predator Part 2.
I loved his death. I mean, that was like pretty gnarly there. Like, good, shut him up for once. But
Yeah.
You know, thinking about the Alien franchise too, I think another really good part of it is the video game, Alien Isolation.
Yes.
I think that's such a good way to put you in the shoes of the crew of like, holy shit, that would be fucking horrifying.
Yes.
And it shows the AI for that alien in that game is also super smart. So, because the whole thing, I know you can hide in it, and it can still find you even if you're hiding. It's not like a normal horror game where it's like you hide and you're good. If your hiding space is horrible, it will find you.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it shows how intelligent the xenomorph is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
like
whole blood for
Kimberly,
acid thing is still, I mean, top notch. Like,
if you could raise a baby xenomorph, and it was cool with you, it was safe with you, and you could raise it up and just have as a pet, would you have like a pet xenomorph just like meeting you at the door when you come home from work?
no.
Oh, okay.
That's what they tried to do.
scared,
I think that's kind of like what they tried to do with the television series, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Probably waiting for one to go ooh ooh. I mean, just
I think one thing that we haven't touched on with Alien that is like so cool, and I think it's as much of a. I know people say this a lot when they say, "Oh, the city was a character in itself in the movie," but like the design, like the did you not Giger? What did you call it? How do you pronounce Giselle? So just the way the design of the ship and how it felt like this lived in. It wasn't Star Trek, right? It wasn't Star Wars even. It was just like this really dank. You could feel the drafts and the moisture and the humidity and like all these things within it, and it's just
Super creepy.
I think it's as iconic as anything. It's just it has like this lived-in feel that was just like, especially for the time, had to be like pretty new. I can't think of anything else that could compete with it. It felt like a ship of just like these kind of blue collar workers that were just like punching in their clock, gone for 4 years, but they, there was nothing. It felt old in a way that even though this was futuristic, that was pretty fascinating.
One thing I think another reason, at least for me, why it ages so well is because the cast itself has a good range of ages. Because I'm guessing Sigourney Weaver was probably maybe late 20s, early 30s at that time.
I think she was around 28, 29.
Probably, and I'm guessing Veronica Cartwright, who plays Lambert, probably about the same age. And the ages probably range from about late 20s to, I would say, probably early 40s maybe at that. So you had a fairly mature cast, not too young, but not overly too old, I guess, because I think most of those actors would have been in their 30s and maybe early 40s at best.
Yeah, I'd say Harry Dean was up in his 40s at that point.
Probably at the time. He might have been the oldest one on there. Him or who plays Ash, Ian Holm, I think, who of course went on to play Bilbo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But
heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it too. Seen it a couple times. Read the book a couple times. I'll throw this one. Here would be my controversial thing. Maybe not, but am I probably the only one here who actually likes Alien 3 better than Aliens? The second
That is
movie.
that is controversial, Josh.
That is very controversial. I don't know.
Wow. That is
Keep in mind, I liked the second one, but I think what I liked about the third one, it felt, you touched on it, Kyle, where the second one is more of a sci-fi action with some horror in it. And I think Alien 3, I appreciated that they tried to bring it back a little bit and bring back, maybe there's a little bit more horror suspense. Now, most people probably hate on it because of what happens to Newt and Hicks, that they pretty much just get killed unceremoniously at the beginning of the movie, or don't even see them really. But it was almost necessary for the plot to progress
Yeah.
in the way that it did, because the whole point was Ripley being basically a woman alone with all these violent male killers and rapists.
Yeah.
And if
The
Hicks
premise
is
is
there,
phenomenal.
it's going to take away from the threat.
I mean, the prison itself, talk about a set and an atmosphere. I mean, the prison itself, when they set the trap and they were running through all the hallways and stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, that is super scary and super like visceral. And I don't know, the scene where it gets up to her up close, I think that was like on all the trailers and the commercials.
Oh, yeah.
And the poster. I mean, that scene is iconic too. And you don't really have, I don't know. Well, the more I think about it, yeah, it is a close rival to Aliens. I could see, I could see.
It definitely gets undeserved hate. It's a better movie
Yeah,
than it's
yeah.
remembered for. I
Yeah.
think. But I think over
There was
time,
a lot of studio interference too. I need to watch the extended cut. I guess there's an industrial cut, is what they're calling it. I need to watch that sometime. Maybe I will next time I do an Alien marathon or something. But
it's kind of like.
but I thought I thought the franchise should have ended the way it ended. Was
Yes.
that's how Ripley's story probably should have ended.
Yeah, I
even though
agree.
it was in death. That's why I thought with Resurrection was, I don't know, didn't do the character justice in a way, it took away from the sacrifice, I guess.
Yeah.
I was just wondering because I think I know one other person who likes Alien 3 more than Aliens. It's someone else I see on YouTube sometimes, but
I think the best one in the series outside of the first two for me is Prometheus because it does something completely different. Where like Romulus and I haven't seen Romulus, so I guess I can't really speak to that one. But like Covenant, it almost felt like a rehash in some ways of the original Alien, even down to the characters. And a lot of people don't like Prometheus, and it definitely has flaws. There's a lot of stupid moves that they make that doesn't make any sense and stuff. But ultimately, like where they kind of take the mythology with like the what are they called? I'm totally blanking out. The big white characters that basically created us, and the elephant alien, and that's another awesome thing about the first movie that is completely unexplained. Is they see that ship with this giant alien in it with this almost like elephant like helmet, and there's no explanation, there's no exposition of it. You just see it, and it's like amazing visually, and then it's never touched upon again. And with Prometheus, they touch down on the not the architects, the engineers. They're called the engineers.
that's right.
But like they touch down on that, and it's again not a perfect movie, but it's there's some interesting things going on in Prometheus that I would argue I find more interesting than say Covenant or the show and things like that. Resurrection I think was cool. I remember seeing that in the theater in like
Has a great cast.
Great cast. Brad Dorfigan's in it, who I'll watch in anything.
I loved him in that.
Yeah, and it's not like a great movie necessarily, but there's some interesting things about it, and it's just got that fun '90s vibe to it. That I can go back to nostalgically. Winona
That's the
Ryder.
first time we saw the alien swim.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and the whole twist with her being, what she is and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So it's like each movie has it's like the Predator movies in a way. Each one has its own strengths and weaknesses, except for the first one, which is, pretty perfect for what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's just another great franchise. So for sure that they won't stop making
franchises where I like every single installment, every single one.
Okay.
Alien
so
and Predator.
Romulus is
I like
good?
every single one.
Do you like Romulus? Okay.
Yeah. Minus the Alien Hulu show, but
Yeah.
every single one.
We're not talking TV right now.
We don't have to
Just
count
a
Yeah,
movie.
we're talking movies. So.
Yeah.
I could probably. Well, let's put it this way: there isn't an Alien movie that I hate. There's some that I probably like less than others, but
Yeah.
I kind of put those. I really look at the first three. If I'm going to sit down and watch a bunch of Alien movies together, it's going to be the first three.
Yeah.
But I would. I mean, I'll revisit Prometheus every once in a while. Alien Covenant, a little bit. I think Prometheus is the better of those two films, anyway. And Romulus was a good, fun watch. I think I remember seeing it in the theaters.
Yep. I love the Alien versus Predator movies. I love both of them.
The first one, I like the first. The second one, I remember being okay. The first one's fun.
I'm biased to it because I was a kid when it came out, so I was in love with the concept of two alien species just fighting each other.
Oh yeah.
And the fight scenes are legit. I mean, they're both shining in their own way.
Yeah, and I remember like the end where they're like where they reveal that there's like a predator alien baby. I was like, oh, I'm so excited, and then nothing happened really.
Yeah, that first one especially was really fun. So.
Well, and Lance Henriksen makes a appearance in that. I just wanted somehow to see a movie with both Alien versus Predator movie. I don't know if they could have done this or not. That where you could have had both Dutch and Ripley involved in it would have been something to have seen.
Cool.
Man, that would almost be like overload. You know, like
Possibly, but I mean, if you're gonna listen, if you're gonna go. Don't half-ass it. Go all the way with it if you're gonna really go towards it. But
and what's funny too is when I was a kid, that was like my first Alien movie was Alien versus Predator. But then my first memory with Alien the movie was actually not watching the movie. It was the ride, the Great Movie Ride at Hollywood Studios.
Oh wow!
Because there's a scene of the xenomorph and Ripley, and it horrified me as a kid.
Is this at Orlando, Scott?
At Disney is crazy. Yeah.
Is that at Orlando?
Yeah, it was at Orlando. It's not there anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because there was actually in Magic Kingdom the extraterrestrial ride was originally going to be the xenomorph and not just some like random alien. This was all during like the Michael Eisner era, and he was crazy and wanted more like thrill rides, like horror. So,
well, good for him. They need more of that there. I mean, if they're gonna own the rights to it, they might as well do something with it on the theme park thing.
It would have been cool to see an alternate universe where it was Xenomorph, but then it ended up turning into Stitch.
Yeah, that's a downgrade.
Is the Xenomorph a Disney princess now?
Yes.
Can you imagine? Oh my God.
That's coming in 2035. So.
No, we kind of got that with the television show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got.
Well, not quite, but it felt like it was going in that direction.
They needed birds singing around the Xenomorph. That would have just made it perfect.
Oh man. You know, we got Freddy versus Jason, we got Alien versus Predator, but we never got Terminator versus RoboCop. So maybe that's
Technically, you did in Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 11, you can play as them and fight each other.
So there was an arcade game of it. Like when I was growing up as a kid, there was actually literally a game of it. But like, yeah, it never did come to fruition for a movie. But
it is cool to see them do fatalities on each other, though.
Cool.
You know, I was just thinking you mentioned RoboCop, and that wouldn't be considered horror, but I was like thinking there's a movie too that really has and it doesn't even try to hide it. That's very heavy on the social commentary, big time.
I mean, come on.
Now, Starship Troopers, another movie directed by Paul Verhoeven. I guess that's kind of horror. That's kind of like a sci-fi action horror movie, and that's another one that's has a lot to say.
That might be one of the greatest parody movies of all time, really.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it's great satire. I can think of two movies that we haven't touched base on that I feel like we've got to cover before we go tonight, though.
All right.
So, and I know I don't know how much time we've got, but two I can think of is one is it could be any of them, but I'm going with the Philip Kaufman 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned the
another remake that was probably better than the original.
Yes. Yeah, so like that, The Blob, which you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
The Fly, and The Thing are like the best remakes, especially at least in sci-fi horror. But do you all remember a movie from the early '90s called Fire in the Sky?
Oh my god.
Yes, I knew
How
Yeah,
that
could we
movie.
forget that?
the movie is so fucking scary. Like it was so scary as a kid. I was
Listen,
scared for it.
the
Like,
maple syrup scene to this day is
oh,
terrifying.
the scenes on the ship is just
Yeah.
like just nightmare fuel.
Yep.
So,
That when the alien puts like that sheet over him.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
the
Oh.
worst.
And that's another movie that, if I'm not mistaken, features Robert Patrick, who we
It
talked about
does.
earlier.
Yeah, it does. And with the invasion of the body snatchers, I don't know how long it's been. Has everybody seen that version? Okay.
The original?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not the original '50s version, which is excellent too, but the '78 remake.
70s. Yeah.
With
Or '76.
Donald Sutherland?
Yeah.
Yes, the one with
Donald
Sutherland.
Sutherland. Also, just talked about him. He was in The Fly as well.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah,
He's in
Jeff
it.
Goldblum.
Young
And
Jeff
Leonard
Goldblum.
Nimoy.
Yeah.
Well,
Super
I
young.
was going to say for Yanni Nimoy. Yeah. So. But
And
that-
Nancy Cartwright.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that scene, it's like Uncanny Valley. It's like when the alien started to form with a human, but it ended up forming with a dog, and it's like this dog body with the human head. You know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah.
Yes.
It is again more nightmare fuel, but it is
Yeah.
absolutely just
It
the
was so
worst thing with
random.
it.
It was so
Yeah.
random in that movie.
Yeah, and then of course the ending where Sutherland's just like
Mhm.
Pointing and screaming at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, that sound.
Yeah, I get that look a lot whenever I don't like a movie that everyone else loves, and they're like, ah, there it is. Or
But the
vice
blonde-
versa, if I like a movie that everyone hated.
yeah.
Yeah, that movie's both movies are phenomenal. Fire in the Sky is just
hmm
Yeah.
And I think what makes Fire in the Sky, because you hear about the stories about alien abductions all the time, and we don't know if they're really happening or not. But if they are, if that's what it's like, that makes it even more scarier. So don't
Yeah.
go living out in the
Um,
country someplace.
Another one that you made me think of when mentioning that movie is The Fourth Kind. I don't know if anyone's heard
Yeah.
of that
oh,
one.
that's what
Yeah.
Mila Jova.
Oh my gosh,
It's pretty good.
that
That is so good too.
so
Yeah.
that movie, because it was in that documentary style, and I'm over here as a child thinking it was real,
Me too.
horrified.
Yeah.
Especially the one, I think the one part that really stuck with me is he says something like, the alien says something like, I am God, or something like, there is no God, I am God. I can't remember exactly what he says. That scene stuck with me, and I remember, funny memory, my brother had been sleeping and the TV came on randomly at 3 a.m. and it was that scene playing from the movie. So it's haunted.
Yeah. The other alien abduction movie that you just triggered my memory was can't remember the name of the movie though, but it's
Communion.
No, Carrie Russell and her son. They thought it was her one son, but then in the end, the aliens got her other son at the end of the movie.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And it was-
Oh,
What's that movie? It's really good.
I can't think of what it is. I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the title.
So good.
I thought you were going to say the Christopher Walken movie Communion, which is super scary. It's got an alien scene in it where it's like in the house with him in the dark, and he sees it. But it came out in the '80s. It's based off a book. The guy that wrote the book wrote The Hunger, which turned into that David Bowie vampire film.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same guy, and I think he wrote Wolven too.
It's on Tubi. I'm gonna look at it. Communion.
Dude. Now I don't know if it holds up. I haven't seen it in 100 years, but like as a
1989.
kid, it's like Fire in the Sky level. Like
Oh,
scary
really?
stuff.
Okay.
That scene at least is like, and you'll know what it is when I'm talking about it. And in my head, it's probably like Pet Cemetery. Rachel in my head from when I was a kid was the scariest thing in the world. If I see it now, it's still freaky, but it's just not the same. but it may be kind of like that. I don't know, but
Dark Skies is the name of the movie I'm talking about.
Dark Skies.
That's it.
Dark
I've
Skies.
not seen that one.
Yeah, that is. If you like all the fire in the sky and all that, you'll love. And the fourth kind, you'll love Dark Skies. Dark Skies
Okay.
is creepy.
Yeah, Sky was right. That the fourth kind did have that documentary feel to it
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we've covered at least most of the best ones. Anyone else have any other movie they'd like to bring up tonight that you can think of?
Not necessarily a movie. It was an internet series on Twitter, which is there's a lot of horror storytelling on Twitter. It's called The Sun Vanished. The whole premise being the sun vanished, obviously. But it's really interesting because it basically is this guy documenting the horrors of no sun, no sunlight in a Twitter format. There's a plenty of YouTube videos about it, but if you're it's an interesting thing to check out.
Okay. What's it called again, Skyla?
The Sun Vanished.
The Sun Vanished. It's a cool title. Okay. Would you all consider Sunshine a horror sci-fi? That's the movie, the guy that made Danny Boyle that made 28 Days Later. They're on a mission to restart the sun. The sun has gone out, and they're going to shoot a nuclear bomb and one of the crew, like, there's something that happens where they start mutating into like this creature, and so it becomes like this alien type movie, but it's called Sunshine.
Sunshine.
It's like Cillian Murphy, Chris Evans is in it. It's probably at least 15 plus years old at this point, but I highly recommend that one. It's really good. So,
Okay.
it's at least horror adjacent, so.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Have you guys seen Begonia?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. I'm on the fence. I don't know.
Is it the very end?
With Emma Stone, the new one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Were you mixed on the ending, the very end?
Yeah. I love the main actor. I love him. Anything he does, I love him. I don't know his name. He's good.
Jesse Plemons?
Yeah, he's so good. But I don't know. I mean, the ending was good where she really was an alien and all, but I just felt like the whole movie was, I don't know.
I think if they'd left it ambiguous, it would have been better. But yeah, so leading up to that though is pretty excellent. I mean, not knowing what the deal is, but yeah.
There'd be a good. I was just thinking now for a good versus thing. How about a Xenomorph versus Uber Jason from Jason X?
I love that.
That's technically a sci-fi horror movie, I would say. Jason X.
True.
Same thing with Hellraiser Bloodline. Or,
Josh, I had a horror story idea for you, or for anyone really. It's not one that I would be good at writing it, but I don't think I've mentioned this before. And I hope this is an original idea. I've never found it anywhere else before, but I could see where somebody else had thought of it. And this isn't sci-fi horror necessarily, but if you took, say, in a universe where all of the main slasher killers are within the same world, Michael Myers, Jason, Pinhead, like all the main iconic killers, but within that world, a bigger, more badass slasher killer has arisen that is like basically has taken over to like and is like wreaking havoc in their own specific way, whether that's supernatural or whatever. And so ultimately all of these iconic characters who ultimately would either ignore each other or be enemies, like Freddy versus Jason, they have to work together to stop this larger slasher entity that is technically more powerful than any of them on their own. And so ultimately it pits these like Freddy and all these guys against something larger or whatever. So anyway, I don't know. I've had that idea for like, it hit years and years ago, and it's like it's one of those things that like I would love to see it written into a story I could read, but it's not anything that I could successfully do myself. So But
Sounds
anyway,
like the Avengers.
yeah, I mean,
I was about to say,
Can you
what is this,
imagine?
yeah, but it's like ultimately like it's, and I don't even know how this would be
Especially if
communicated.
you have to go up against a Thanos type of
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And it is kind of an Avengers thing, I guess, for sure. But if you could do it in a way where it wasn't,
Man,
you know what I mean? Like,
that would be awesome.
yeah,
It,
like just I think what would be so much fun is creating the new character. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
that would be pretty
whoever that
cool.
could be or what it could be.
It
Yeah,
would have to be something, because, I mean, if we're talking about classics, like, I'm gonna think about how, like, Pinhead, who I feel like is one of the most powerful.
Hmm.
So something more powerful than Pinhead, which I'm not sure what, other than, like, Satan himself.
that's what I was gonna say. So ultimately, my thought that's perfect, Scott. Because I was gonna say my thought would be that the reveal would be that it's ultimately a version of Satan that they have to, or the Antichrist or something. And so, like, and they're not doing this out of any like moral turnaround or anything. They're doing this selfishly because basically he's keeping them from being able to do what they do best, right? So,
and
um,
self-preservation as well.
yeah, and maybe he's even targeting like I think of it kind of like have you all ever seen I Saw the Devil,
Oh,
the
Yeah.
yeah,
South Korean,
yeah.
where
I
he just keeps
haven't.
interrupting the serial killer. Okay.
That movie is
Something like
phenomenal. Even though I don't think it's a horror movie, but it is
no.
a phenomenal movie.
Oh my god, so good, so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, but something like that. And to say it out loud, it kind of sounds silly, but like there's a version of it in my head that like is probably is not as goofy as it maybe sounds
It
out
sounds
loud.
like
But
a great premise for a
Yes,
fighting
it
game.
does.
yes, that would be good, or even something animated, like an animated
Yeah.
anime show or something. I don't know how it works in a live action, but
Just as long as Freddy sarcastically says "Avengers Assemble" one time, I'm in.
well, he's got to say a symbol, bitch. He's got to say a
Yes.
symbol, bitch.
Yes.
Yeah, you've seen War Fish like 1,000 times.
Yeah. But anyway, if someone would go write that story, I'd really appreciate it. So,
I thought about for fun just writing like a series of short stories that merges certain people like from other movies into another movie. Like, what if, let's say, Laurie Strode comes across Art the Clown, or Nancy Thompson comes across Candyman. Something along those lines, just to kind of like switch around. How would this final girl do against this villain, and vice versa? Would be kind of an interesting thing to explore.
yeah, that would be really cool.
I mean, what I think is kind of cool about some horror movies is like you can't necessarily disprove that they're not in the same universe.
Very true.
That's true. I mean, they could. It all depends on who owns the movie rights,
Yes. But in my head,
whether or not they're in the same universe or not.
Can I ask your all's opinion on October's Scarefest, excuse me, Scare Stack series? Okay.
Sure.
Here's what I'm thinking. Two options, and anybody else has anything better, please tell me, because I'm always open to whatever. But so I can't decide between, because we did the Halloween series last October. We had Christmas movies through December. We did Friday the 13th, and now we've done Stephen King. So if we go back to a horror franchise, since we've done Myers and Jason, the next obvious one would be, I guess, Krueger, right?
yeah.
Probably.
Yep.
So there's either Krueger, which I think there's only 9. I think maybe there's like, including the remake, there's 9 of those. Not as many as the others. Or so there's doing 9 of Krueger and having a shorter one. And I don't necessarily want to do 31 days again. That was a that was a lot.
Yeah.
But fun. But by the end, it was like, okay, I think everybody was ready to move on. But it just was a lot of people jumping in there. But but doing everybody picking either a movie that has Halloween in it on some capacity, whether it's is like trick or treat or even something that maybe is just Halloween adjacent, like Pumpkinhead that has like a feel to it or whatever. And not necessarily stretching it out over the course of a month, but maybe even doing like a couple weeks of it, like we did with the Christmas, where we did 20,
Right.
we did 25 days there. So that would give more people the opportunity to jump in and like bring their ideas to the table to write about, or we could condense it down into the Freddy friend. Because I was like, okay, if not Freddy, then maybe like the Chucky series or something. But I feel like maybe Krueger would be the one to go to. The Nightmare on Elm Street would be probably first. So, but do you all have an opinion on that? Like what? I just kind of want to get everybody.
Both are great ideas. I think if you're going to do something in October, I think basically the Halloween themed or Halloween adjacent horror movies that aren't Halloween sounds like a good idea. You could always do the Freddy Krueger thing anytime, really, throughout the year.
Yeah.
Evergreen.
Yeah,
I like
Sure.
that.
Well-
I like that idea. Your favorite Halloween themed horror
Yeah.
movie.
I mean,
It's not called Halloween.
That's not called Halloween.
Yeah, it's not called Halloween.
yeah, and I mean, if somebody wants to do one of the Halloween movie, we did that. Obviously we've already done that. So, but if anybody wanted that didn't cover something before,
Right.
I don't really care. But that kind of opens up a lot of different ideas because I'm a big fan of the Krueger movies, but like, I would also be open just to doing Halloween, and then like you said, we could do Krueger any month. There's no holiday to tie it to, but we could definitely, or Friday the 13th or anything, but like we
Right.
could do that anytime. So I just wanted to kind of get everybody's feel for that to see what made the most, what was tickling everybody's fancy, I guess.
I know one thing. If you do the Krueger thing, I want to try and write something on the remake because I want to try to be the one that kind of tries to defend it. In other words, I'm gonna like try and stick up for the kid that's being bullied.
Okay. Yeah, I
Since I-
would definitely want to go back and I need to go because I've got them on Blu-ray, so I'd want to go back, and I've never seen the remake, so I would need to go and rewatch them all. I think Dream Warriors is the one that I think I could probably drum the most to talk about.
Yeah. I was about to say you're going to have a nasty fight on your hand about who wants to cover Dream Warriors.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll leave that
and the
open.
original.
Yeah.
I'll leave that open to whoever wants to take it. I don't want to selfishly grab Dream Warriors. And I would definitely, of course, I've got to give Kim number one if she wants it. So it's just scare stack tradition at this point.
I like every single movie in the entire franchise. I like so.
Nice. Okay.
Not the crazy Freddy Krueger remake movie one though.
Well,
Not.
I'm gonna try and change your.
crazy-looking
No,
Freddy
I'm
Krueger.
not gonna. I'm not gonna say that's a good movie, but I don't think it's as bad as people think. But
Well, Josh, I don't think anybody's gonna like try to kick your ass over. Taking that one. So,
no, I don't think
You
so
probably-
either. That's why.
you're probably safe. I wouldn't mind taking one of the weirder later ones, or even the second one. I think there's some
part
things
two,
there
part
that'd be
two,
pretty
yeah.
pretty fascinating.
Great.
So.
I'd love to go outside of the box for the Freddy Krueger thing and come up with the ultimate Nightmare on Elm Street soundtrack.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I think that would be an awesome right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Freddie already has a man.
Huh?
So, but yeah, no, that's a great idea too. That'd be good. That'd be like a good one off, like if you wanted to fill in some other, an essay that's not necessarily on one movie, but like the soundtracks of like all of them. That'd be pretty cool. I'd be all about that. Yeah. But anyway, it's just still something to kind of think about. I mean, we've got some time, but just trying to figure out which route we want to go on that one. If we want to kind of make it a little bit smaller, or go broad again with just everybody's favorite Halloween movies. And it could be Nightmare Before Christmas. It could be, again, Trick or Treat. Either the heavy metal or the anthology, just whatever, anything.
All right.
Yeah.
Or even something again like Pumpkinhead that's not technically Halloween, but just has that fall, that fall feel to it or whatever. So, Ginger
I have a
snaps.
few movies in mind. It'll be tough to pick one, but there's a lot more than you think there are that aren't named,
Yeah.
a Halloween movie. So
Yeah. Scala, there is a really. Have you ever seen Satan's Little Helper? Oh, we lost you.
Uh-oh.
Josh, is that a Clerks poster?
That's a Clerks 2 poster.
Yeah, okay.
what happened? There she is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My
Oh, you were
headphones
talking about
died,
the. Oh, okay, that's my wife's. Yeah.
Scala, did you say you have seen that?
I feel like let me Google it, because I that name sounds so familiar to me.
Yeah, it's this kid that's obsessed. This serial killer is dressed up in this costume that's like a famous video game character. And so this kid believes that the serial killer is that character on Halloween night, and he follows and helps the Satan character, who's a serial killer, kill these people. And the kid doesn't realize what's going on.
Oh,
So, yeah, but I thought it kind of fit your Substack. So
I'm definitely
Yeah.
gonna check that out because that does sound very interesting to me.
yeah, so
And
it's-
the mask kind of reminds me of a Black Phone a little bit.
I can see that. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think we've covered quite a bit tonight. So I want to thank everyone that joined us tonight and everyone that ends up watching this down the road. Please like, share, and comment below. What's some of your favorite sci-fi horror films, especially if it's one that we didn't cover tonight, which I'm sure is plenty. I'm sure I'll see plenty of comments saying, "What about this? What about that?" You're right. So anyhow, good evening, everyone, and we will see you next time.